Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Cynthia Jordan, and I'm delighted to be today's moderator. It is my pleasure to launch this 18th edition of the European Logistics Association Awards. This is the first time the event goes digital, and for the very first time, we have attained a unique number of registered attendees, over 600. The current pandemic has indeed caused a commotion for all of us. As a result, I'm here alone in Brussels, but thanks to technology, you have all been able to join from across Europe and the globe. Today, we are proud to present 6 finalist projects during our afternoon together. We did indeed receive a large amount of projects this year, and on behalf of ELA, we would like to thank each and every one of you for your time, ideas, and effort put into these projects that were submitted. To run you through the afternoon we will be spending together. First of all, we will have the chance to have introductory speeches from 2 well-known sector experts, Paolo Bisoni, ELA President, and Professor Richard Wilding, recognized globally for his thought leadership in logistics and supply chain management from Cranfield School of Management, UK. We will then discover the projects of the 6 ELA Award finalists, who have prepared 15 to 20-minute presentations each to enable you to have an in-depth understanding of their work and allow you to then vote for whom you feel is your best project. The voting session will be open to all attendees through an online voting system until the end of all 6 presentations. We will then announce the award of the best project before we start our roundtable. Our roundtable on the future of air cargo transportation will then begin, moderated by Didier Granger, President and CEO of OEM Services and board member of the European Logistics Association, alongside leading industry experts representing IATA, Lufthansa Cargo, Bolloré Logistics, and Airbus. Back to now. Joining us today is Paolo Bisoni. Welcome, Paolo. Paolo, you are the standing president of the European Logistics Association and equally chairman of the board of the Italian Logistics Association. Paolo, you are a logistics expert yourself. Of course, you are today professor in supply chain management as well as in digital technology innovation at the Catholic University of Milan. You're also founder and CEO of Sogenet, a management and consulting firm specialized in the design and implementation of innovative supply chain management solutions, where you advise numerous customers, notably in the healthcare and hospital industry, as well as for the United Nations. This is now your third year as president of ELA, and you have been a member of the community for some time now. So please do not hesitate to interrupt me if I talk too much or say some nonsense. As a woman, this could happen, right, gentlemen? So anyway, joking aside, please, any extra information given your experience will be very helpful. Paolo, we are delighted to have you here, and over to you. We have to just unmute Paolo as we cannot hear him right now.
Okay.
There we go, on the air.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much, Cynthia, for your nice introduction. It is not my intention to steal time from anybody, especially from Professor Wilding. So basically, I would just like to welcome everyone to the ELA Award. As Cynthia said, it's our 18th edition now, so it is something quite old in the story of our association. ELA itself is a wonderful community of people, logisticians from all over Europe, living and working from the coast of the Atlantic in Ireland, in the UK, and as far east as Russia and Kazakhstan. As far north as the Scandinavian and Baltic countries, and south down to the neighboring countries. Actually, we have some members in Northern African countries like Morocco. The ELA community counts more than 30 nations, and we try to do the best that we can in order to make the professional experience, the knowledge and the skill set of logistics and supply chain management professional richer and richer. The awards is exactly meant to be such an opportunity. We will present the finalists, 6 wonderful projects as inspirational ideas for all of us to get something new, something different, some bright ideas in order to improve the way in which we manage, we design, we plan our supply chain operations. Having said that, I wish you all a useful, fruitful, and entertaining afternoon. And I'm leaving the floor to Professor Wilding or Cynthia for an introduction.
I'm back. So thank you, Paolo. Indeed, Professor Wilding, let me now present to you our keynote speaker. Professor of Supply Chain Strategy, Logistics, Procurement and Supply Chain at Cranfield School of Management, and global expert in logistic, transport, and supply chain management, recognized by multiple industry awards. Richard regularly speaks at conferences and has undertaken lecture tours worldwide. He has published widely in the area of supply chain management and is editorial advisor to a number of top journals in the area. We are honored to have him here today, just for us, to learn more about supply chain leadership, the critical element. Richard, over to you.
Okay, Cynthia, well, it's a real pleasure to be with you this year. I'm looking back to, I'm thinking about, I think it was June originally, I was meant to be flying to Brussels, so this is all a little bit different. I'm currently, as you can see, presenting from Cranfield's library. So that's where the background is at the moment. I was just thinking about this year, there's a, the motto for 2020 has to be, it is what it is. It's been one of those years. And I think the key catchphrase for 2020 will be, you are on mute, because that seems to be the thing that most people are saying. Okay, so anyway, what I'm going to be looking at during this particular session is supply chain leadership. So we're going to be really having a good sort of reflection on this whole particular area, and hopefully I'm nice and big on your screens, because I'm going to be presenting. I'm not going to share screen with you. I'm going to be using some technology, which means you're going to be able to see everything, including me, while I'm presenting to you. So basically what we're going to be looking at is this whole area of supply chain leadership. So we're going to be moving through here and actually thinking through the importance of this particular area, because what we're going to see is that leadership is going to be one of the most critical elements of the challenges which we actually have just approaching us at the moment. So we need to have effective leadership. And we've been hearing today, there seems to be jubilation in the press about the fact that there's, this vaccine is looking very, very promising. But actually, one of the things we need to think about now is just the leadership in terms of being able to get this to market. This is a particular product, from my understanding, requires, if you like, a supply chain that can manage this securely at minus 70 Celsius. Right? So minus 70 Celsius, we have got to put in the processes to be able to actually move through the supply chain, the infrastructure and equipment, and we're trying to keep things pretty cold here to be able to move it through the supply chain. Okay, we've got to think about the information systems as well, because we're going to have to manage, all the information requirements of this. Various people in the population are going to need 2 doses, which are 21 days apart, and so on and so forth. So we've got all the information requirements from that. We've got a whole raft of issues as well in terms of the people and resourcing. And this will be, I believe, the biggest logistical and supply chain challenge of the century. And it's not just about the vaccine, it's about also the creation of the infrastructure. If we've got to have specialist equipment to move this product, we have got to have supply chains, all the supply chains associated with that. And so this is the time for supply chain leaders. There is no other time like this, and we're really going to have to grab this and sort of move forward and make this work. This is a really exciting time to be part of this, and it's great to be here at this event just just celebrating some of the things that we're actually looking at as we move forward. So just a little bit about me then, a little bit about my background here. First of all, I'm an engineer by background, so, you know, I love engineering. I'm also a logistics and supply chain professional, so I'm a member of the UK's Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. I'm also a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply. The Chartered Institute of Procurement and Supply is really for procurement professionals around the world, and I'm actually going to be supporting them a little bit more in the coming years, as I'm going to be joining their global board of trustees shortly. So this is very important, but it overlaps. So supply chain, logistics, procurement, they all overlap, as we'll see. I'm also a higher education learning professional. Yes, I'm a professor at Cranfield, and I was one of the first professors of supply chain risk management. My title has changed to Professor of Supply Chain Strategy, but supply chain risk management, as we've been discovering in recent months, it has to be part of your supply chain strategy. It's embedded in that particular area. And my goal is taking knowledge and creating action. I talk about challenging and inspiring supply chain leaders to innovate. So I just love innovation. I love challenging and inspiring people to innovate as we move forward. And I'm former chairman of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. You will see my Twitter hashtag and my LinkedIn details there. And I've also done quite a bit on modern day slavery around the world, and just sort of pioneering some of the stuff around e-commerce, which is really, really important. Where does Cranfield work? We work globally. So we're working across the world, around the world, with all sorts of different organizations and different businesses. And this is really important because it gives us a very global perspective on these things. And sometimes we have to take a global perspective rather than a local perspective. But as we know, sometimes, as we say, the devil's in the detail. You've got to know your local market. So what I'm going to talk through in the next sort of 20 minutes or so is I want to just present a scene that we have a foundation of supply chain 4.0 and the opportunities that has presented. And this has been something which has been going on for a number of years now. But really what has happened in the last 8 months is a burning platform has been created. An absolute burning platform has been created by the pandemic. All of a sudden, everybody wants to know about supply chain, right? You know, all of a sudden, the hidden heroes of, if you like, industry are being revealed. The supply chain professionals, the logistics professionals who have been keeping our nations running, keeping Europe running during these challenging times. So we're going to look at some of the foundations which were there. We're going to look at supply chain strategy, but then I want to move on to thinking about the next generation supply chains. I've also embedded some thoughts around, you know, the current COVID situation. Why? Because that's important, because we've seen this burning platform literally move things forward, probably, well, you know, years in advance. So some of the things I was looking at, I was sitting comfortably in the United Kingdom this time last year thinking, you know, these things are going to come to pass in 5 years' time. Some of these things we've seen to come to pass in like 5 months because of the burning platform which has been created. And we're going to see this continuation as we move into the new normal. As I said, I love to challenge and inspire supply chain leaders to innovate. And this event is really, really important because innovation is taking ideas which are new to you and creating economic, social, or environmental value. So I do hope you will take some ideas which are new to you from this presentation to be able to create some value, but also more importantly, take ideas from those finalists who are going to be presented to you, take them, steal them. Well, be careful with that. You might get, you know, in the courts, but borrow those ideas and apply them into your environment. That's really important. And then that'll really create some innovation across our sector. So first things first, let's just have a think about Industry 4.0. And Industry 4.0 has a number of real building blocks. And I just want to go through these. We have systems integration, which is really critical. big data and analytics, simulation and virtualization, the Internet of Things, the cloud, cybersecurity. Can't emphasize the importance of cybersecurity. I haven't got time to talk about that too much now, but that is really, really critical. Autonomous systems, augmented reality, and additive manufacturing. Now, the planets are really aligning around this. And what I mean by that is that as supply chain professionals, what we're being able to do is to take these concepts and join them together. Okay, there's innovation taking place around the individual elements, but actually innovation occurs by us within the supply chain, within logistics, taking elements and combining them. So if you think about additive manufacturing, 3D printing, we can put that in a warehouse, okay? We might, within that warehouse, also be using augmented reality. So we might be using vision, vision picking systems. So people are using Google glasses and things. We may then have autonomous systems. So we might have, remote vehicles following pickers within that particular environment. We might then be taking all the data from that and putting it into the cloud and doing big data analytics. So all these things are here and now and are really operating well at this particular point in time. And that becomes absolutely critical as we're moving forward. So what we're finding is that for a number of years now, people have been pioneering these particular areas and joining together these elements as we move forward. Now, we've then suddenly moved into this massive world of what we call we're not at post-COVID-19 yet, but this has been a massive wake-up call for what's going on in the supply chain. What we've discovered is yes, our information systems might be vulnerable to computer viruses, but our people are also vulnerable to a physical virus. And so in a way, the supply chain, the burning platform that's been created is, can we actually start working more remotely? Can we start working more autonomously? Can we start applying robotics and automation within these particular environments? We've got this public health emergency which is taking place. We've got a whole situation where, it's proving that we need resilient supply chains. We're having to actually embrace new technologies in order to be able to compete and in order for us to be able to survive as we move forward. Now, really within the supply chain, we often operate in two modes. We talk about bimodal supply chain. Mode one is the focus on predictability. It's all about lean, cost reduction, managing predictable swings in demand and inventory fluctuations, focusing on risk and mitigation and prevention. That's the stuff we've been really focused on for a number of years. And you could say that for many businesses, there are exceptions, but for many businesses, around about it must be, 80% of what we do is operating mode one. But then we have mode two, and mode two is all about focus on exploration. This is where speed and is dynamic, it's iterative, strategies for solving the unexpected and sort of being able to actually, deal with these things. It's adapting to new technologies. The challenge is that we need to learn to operate in these both modes simultaneously. That's a big part of the challenge we're having to deal with, operating with both modes simultaneously. But also, what we've found in the last 8 to 9 months is actually we're getting a swing. We're having to actually now have businesses that can operate more in mode 2 than mode 1, supply chains that operate in mode 2 rather than mode 1, focused on exploration. A lot of forecasting has just gone out the window. Even AI systems are struggling with some of the forecasting. Why? Because they just don't have the data sets. They haven't been able to learn to cope. So all of a sudden, people are having to be part of these processes to be able to actually cope with what's actually going on. So, we found that, a lot of the tools and approaches that we've been relying on for managing mode 1 for many years no longer work in the way we would love them to work at the moment. And that's particularly challenging. So here we go. Let's have a look then at thinking about supply chain strategy, because this is absolutely critical when we're actually moving forward. We, of course, have the corporate strategy of the business. We have the competitive strategy. The competitive strategy is all about how we create value in the marketplace. It's all about demand creation. We then have the supply chain strategy, which is all about demand fulfillment. And then there are 4 key areas we need to think about: the supply chain process design, the supply chain infrastructure design, infrastructure equipment, the information systems design, and the organization design. Now, I sometimes talk about society here. Why do I talk about the whole issue of society? Because you're trying to align values across the supply chain network as well. So you're trying to get your suppliers, that supply chain network, to be able to actually manage in an appropriate way and actually have aligned values as we're moving forward. And that can be a challenge because, you know, if you want to be the greenest, most ethical, zero CO2 organization, if your suppliers don't play that game as well because they have different values, generally it's very difficult to make claims around it. So we get a link going back into the competitive strategy. And one of the key things we have to think through is that linkage between those people in the organization who create the competitive strategy and those who work with the supply chain strategy. And it can be, for example, you know, competitive strategy might be all those individuals in your commercial sales teams, whereas supply chain strategy is all your operations people. And we need really strong collaboration to actually be able to gel those elements together and make those elements work together effectively. Now, that is, if you like, the context within which we're having to think through leadership. So as a supply chain or a logistics leader, we're in this role where what we're having to do is to align on the competitive strategy of, you know, of the organization. So I often say to people, when people come to me and say, hey, you know, Professor Wilding, you know, can you help us develop a new supply chain? I say, well, the first thing I need to understand is what is creating value in the final marketplace. You know, what is creating value in that marketplace? When you can tell me what creates value, I can then design a supply chain to help you deliver that value. I can make sure we've got the processes in place, the infrastructure equipment, the information systems, and the organization in place to help you to deliver that value. But the thing about the leadership is, you know, I just want to reflect what is the, first of all, the key thing in terms of, you know, the essence of leadership. So this is just, you know, if you're looking at leadership, the essence of leadership is around, leadership is about people aiming to create direction, alignment, and commitment. Okay. And what we're starting to find is that we need new approaches to leadership, particularly in the world which we're in at the moment. And we're talking about this concept of modern leadership or shared collaborative leadership, where multiple people on the team are providing leadership and direction. You know, this is completely different to, you know, our original vision of what we thought maybe a leader should be like. And what we're finding is for different types of supply chains. So if you've got mode 1, mode 2, remember I talked about mode 1 and mode 2, actually we also need different leadership skills to operate in those different environments. And that's something which is actually quite important to understand as we're moving forward. So there's been some work which has been sort of done around this, and I've done lots and lots of research around this over the years, looking at different sort of leadership approaches, and we've done work on supply chain management in the boardroom, you know, the executive board, and I have the privilege of being in the board of a number of big organizations. But leadership for next generation supply chains, if you think about the traditional approaches that we have, we generally have a situation where we can have what we call command and control leadership, consensus, and collaborative leadership. And there are different characteristics to these, and I know this slide's a little bit detailed and some of you might not be able to view it, but I've got to zoom in on some of the key bits in just a moment. So what you've basically got here is a situation where, you know, you've got the organizational structures, you've got who has the relevant information, who has authority to make decisions, what is the basis of accountability and control within this environment. So these are some of the key elements, but let's just actually zoom in on a couple of key bits here, because I think this is really important to actually think through. That what we need to actually think through is that, you know, if you're thinking about the organizational structure, hierarchical, Okay, command and control. That's where we'd typically find this. It could be military, command and control. Or consensus, well, that's where you've got a group of people and you have to get sort of consensus across it. They have different strengths and weaknesses. So if you look at command and control, it works best, okay, within a defined hierarchy, but works poorly for complex organizations when innovation is important, okay? Whereas consensus, it works best in small teams and works poorly where speed is important. And then collaborative works well for diverse groups of cross-unit, cross-company work and when innovation and creativity is important. So if you start to think about this, how in your organizations do you lead? And there may be times when you have to switch between these different modes of leadership. But I would argue if you're operating in that mode 2, that exploratory world, if you're operating in post-COVID, as it were, you're going to have to move more towards the collaborative leadership. So I did some work with DHL. There's a report which you can readily download, which is free, which really looks at a journey we're going on from lockdown to pre-new normal to new normal. And we did actually, unfortunately, put some iterations in lockdown because we did, earlier on this year, we thought we're going to be going through multiple cycles of this. Sadly, our prediction was correct because we're currently in lockdown 2.0 in the UK. But, what's actually really important about this is that we're going through a process of crisis management, ramp up, stabilization, adapt, optimize, and then actually grow the business again. And these are the areas that are actually quite important as we're moving forward through this. Now, one of the things that we were finding with this was really focusing on where supply chains will reshape themselves in order to be able to sort of, keep this focus on resilience and flexibility. So, for example, we're moving into a time for procurement for resilience rather than procurement for cost. So we're starting to see nearshoring, bringing things back, and multi-shoring, for example, taking place. So you're less dependent on these extended supply chains. Countries and governments are saying we need to start developing things more locally. Supply chains will need to be reassessed, including transportation flows and warehouse flows. That's already happening. And we've also got that little burning platform of Brexit coming along. But supply chains always find the easiest way. So supply chain innovation will be essential in the future. We've got to be able to innovate, and collaboration along the chain is also going to be absolutely critical. We've got to manage those relationships as we move forward. So those are some of the key things that we really have to sort of reflect on as we're going through this. So we need to be able to make sure that we can have these principles in place. Now, I'm sure we'll work out a way of perhaps getting copies of these slides or this presentation to people. I'm sure somebody, Cynthia, might be able to say, yeah, there's going to be a way of being able to do that. So you're very welcome to have, all these slides. But there's also other information and things that you can currently get. So, do feel free, for example, to be able to, basically just use stuff. I've got an online supply chain course. You'll find loads of blogs on my website as well. So there's bits of information there. So you can actually go through into that world there. So, do keep an eye on what's actually going on, and you'll be able to actually see those things. But I just hope those insights are important, because leadership is going to be critical for the future. And if we're thinking about the announcements we've had over the last 24 hours, leadership within the supply chain linked to getting effective processes, infrastructure and equipment mobilized, those information systems are going to be critical as we're moving forward. And also, we've got to make sure we manage our people in a remote, socially distanced way as we move forward. So that becomes really, really important as we're moving forward. So I do hope that you'll be able to take some of those ideas, which are new to you, and create some innovation as we move forward. And don't forget, shared leadership, sharing leadership is going to be really important into the future as we move forward. So that, you unbelievably, is me done. And I'm now back in my beautiful library at Cranfield. So thank you all very much indeed.
Well, Richard, thank you. Thank you for the spot-on timing from an expert like yourself. Really, this in-depth presentation and this COVID-19 supply chain wake-up call is what we all need. Indeed, IT and people are vulnerable, as we have seen. We need our political leaders also to lead. We need a pilot on the plane. We sincerely hope that experts like yourself and our members and supply chain operators will contribute to helping us move on rapidly. Regarding the questions, indeed, I'm sure everyone has loads of questions at this stage. One which I wrote down is, how do we deliver the value we create to the marketplace? There is an online chat available. Should people have any questions, we would be delighted to have them submitted. And maybe what we can do is, with the team at ELA, is upload the answers on the ELA website after the conference. And we can have like a summary of the main questions we have had, if that works for you, Richard.
Yeah, well, any questions? I mean, or you can use Twitter. So you know, that might be also a useful tool. Let me just see if I can find my it's my Twitter hashtag there as well. Here we go. So yeah, you can fire in, and you can find me on Twitter as well. So that's at the bottom. So at Supply Chain Prof. It's the same on Instagram as well. I don't use that very often though, but yeah, we can do that one. And I had the absolute privilege. Talk about responsive supply chains. I managed to move my daughter's wedding forward and organise it in 48 hours last week. So, you know, that's pretty good going, I thought, you know, because we're going to be in lockdown. We can't have weddings in the UK. So I'm still recovering from that supply chain challenge in my personal life.
Yes. And when it's for yourself, it's always even more stressful.
Yes.
Well, Richard, I think on behalf of ELA, thank you very much for being here today. It was a unique occasion, and we were happy to have you with us today.
Thank you. It's been a privilege. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard. Before I move on to presenting the first project, I would like to remind you that the voting platform is now open, and that it will be open until a couple of minutes after the sixth project has been presented. And so now let's move on to our first project. We go over to Portugal, where CTT Correios de Portugal is waiting for us. Their project is called Order Now, Logistic Processes and Answer to E-Commerce. You'll discover their work on changing postal operation competitiveness through production and logistic network optimization modeling. Paulo, Pedro, are you there?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Cynthia.
Hello.
Hello.
It's raining here in Brussels. How's it going in Portugal?
A little foggy, but fortunately no rain, at least for the time being.
Okay, so we are on time. You guys have a good 15 minutes to present the project, and I'm crossing fingers for you guys. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Paulo, and I'm the head of operation and logistic development at CTT. Before starting with our project presentation, I would like to express our special thanks both to the organization and the Portuguese Logistics Association. We are honored to be a part once more of this prestigious event. Having the quality and innovation of our project recognized by our peers, and being shortlisted to this award on the year our organization celebrates its 500 years old anniversary is an added privilege. A 500 years old history of serving our community, resilience and transformation. And today you are going to share with you one of this transformation journey. A transformation induced for a rapidly changing environment where sadly all operation models are unable to cope with the mail reduction and the e-commerce ubiquity. To adapt to the tens of thousands of small packages with multiple formats, irregular shapes and sizes that we receive daily, we launched the program Order Now. a comprehensive and far-reaching program inside our operation that cover automation, internal logistics improvement, robotization, and system to explore the new generation data. And in the end, within our program lies the key to our transformation, a transformation to a modern and flexible operation and logistic model, which help us to consolidate our position and the market leader, improve productivity and service level, have better working condition in a reduced footprint, and have a data visibility across the logistic operation network. Pedro will now walk us along our journey.
Okay, thank you, Paulo. So let me just call the presentation. So bear with me just a little bit. Okay. I think that you are already seeing the presentation. Yes. So I'm going to assume, Cynthia, can you confirm that you are seeing the presentation?
Yes, I confirm.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so for those of you who don't know us, we are Portugal's universal service provider. So we are the market leader on the parcel sector for Portugal, and we also have a strong presence in Spain. We are established across the country with thousands of mailmen and hundreds of stores and delivery offices in the biggest and more complex network of our country, reaching potentially 7 million households. Like Paulo said, our journey started on the 16th century during the Renaissance period. But as I only have 15 minutes, I will have to move forward, and we'll move to 2016, where we found ourselves at the crossroads and change was inevitable. As you imagine, few businesses are as disturbed by the surrounding environment as it is. So letter was being replaced as the preferential mean of communication in the previous years, the e-commerce boom, the permanent need for information across the logistic network, including last mile, the end of our monopoly, the elimination of physical and digital borders, and e-commerce was being supported by international supply chains networks. Curiously, right now with COVID, we are seeing a return to the basics with the local supply chains, but that's a matter for another forum. And of course, last mile disruption, lockers, same-day delivery, etc. And frankly, we weren't ready for that. This transformation was a huge challenge for our model, which was optimized, was battle-tested for the regular mail, letters and flats, not for this strange new reality with small packets that were overflowing our network. And market and regulation also forced us to act. To be honest, this reality didn't change much since 2016. Right now, the pressure just became much higher with COVID, but the issues are more or less still the same. The weight of these sellers like Amazon and Alibaba, the flexibility that we need for the peak season, the market exponential growth, especially and most noticeably on these small inbound parcels that came from Asia and China, and the highly competitive environment where we have to compete. And so these issues still remain. But the problem is, in 2016, we really struggled to continue to answer to our customers. Our answer was being supported in this entirely manual process with high logistic and labor costs and with inadequate capacity. This is how we work in 2016. So if you played basketball, you could have a job with us. This is a low productivity, effort-driven, very hard to ramp up, and no reliable data. The conclusion for us was simple. This operational model was unable to respond to these new challenges, and we needed to change. We needed to transform, and we needed to move from postal to logistics, from mail to parcel, from fixed routes to convenience, from national to international, from small data to big data with visibility across the chain, across the network and customer service, to be more efficient. And in 2016, as in 2020, change is inevitable. We need to embrace it. And we did just that with our program, with the program Order Now. The program Order Now, to embrace this change, we put together this comprehensive production and logistic transformation program that was powered by innovative technologies and widespread process transformation across 6 main stages. So our Order Now program encompassed, to address our efficient throughput, we automated our sorting in 2016. Our high logistic costs were handled in the same year with the profound logistic transformations. the difficulty that we had for in-house transportation was minimized with automation. And in 2018, we start replacing effort-driven tasks by robotization. Our continuous growth was handled as anticipated in the beginning of the project with a sorter upgrade, and to remaining low in the following year, we handled the remaining low productivity tasks we still have, which replaced them with optical character recognition for the address that was helped by machine learning algorithms. Sorry. So this €5 million program covered the implementation of innovative technological solutions, like I said, but also automated some repetitive and time-consuming tasks, provided our internal logistic and operation with near real-time information, and drove the process optimization across our network. In the end, the increased capacity and performance of our production and logistics promoted a quicker response to the market new demands, enabling a better service at a lower cost. And let's see now the drivers for change. The drivers for this change, the first was the automation of our sorting. It was a pioneer system in Europe that was designed for the small packets, anticipating the boom in the Chinese packets of the following years. It also had some innovative features. For instance, we deployed a two-speed sorter that allow us to change the conveyor speed to handle smaller packets whenever it's necessary. The sorter was designed to receive from the scratch a capacity upgrade within the same infrastructure, which allow us to increase the throughput by 50% in less than 5 days. And the OCR recognition and system and machine learning algorithms improve the recognition and reduce error, and can identify any packet address in less than 2 seconds for 70% of our packets sorted. We achieved a virtual automation of all packets with one fast sorting to all delivery offices in Portugal. Sorry. Then we moved for our internal logistic transformation. And the first thing we did was to depart from the one-size-fits-all, with rolling cages and small boxes that were more suited for letters. And we've looked for the specialization and of the logistics and of the small packets, with the new box that was compatible with Euro pallets, that is sized for this product, but also allows for an easy handling by our operators and mailmen. Secondly, we moved from rolling cages to rolling pallets, and this improves drastically the efficiency of the reverse logistics. Instead of we are stacking pallets instead of putting empty roller cages side by side. This, of course, not only reduced the transportation costs, but also reduced the empty roller cage transportations that we need to do within the site. And as these roller pallets have aero pallet dimensions, they also fit better in our trucks, improving the efficiency overall. The internal logistic transformation proceeded with improvements across the operation. We had more than 600 meters of conveyors to transport box, transferring with minimal human intervention over 1.2 million boxes filled with packets. Then, after sorting, we created a semi-automated consolidation area to support the expedition, where we can forward each box to one of the 99 possible destinations, which could be a delivery office or an intermediate logistic hub. And the same box is used throughout the process and recycled inside the sorter. So, creating a linear logistics, eliminating the need for intermediate stocks, and also removing low-value tasks like empty box replenishment. Then we have moved to another driver of this transformation. It was with this program that we advanced decisively to robotization, automating heavy and repetitive tasks with little added value. Robots were deployed to transport and handle pallets and boxes to be fed to the machine. In a cooperative setting with different robot types. We had robotic arms for the boxes, to put the boxes on the conveyor for the machine, but we also had some autonomous AGV, automatic guided vehicles robots, that had navigation and obstacle avoidance for pallet transportation. These small AGV robots share the same space with our operators and create a cooperative, safe, and effort-reducing environment that was innovative in the European postal industry. These robots are managed by a simple app where the floor manager only needs to identify the row order. It will be according to 5 for priority, and then everything else is automatic, including charging and the availability of the robots. And this assures a 24-hour continuous supply of packets to be sorted on the machine. These results exceeded our best expectations and helped us move the organization towards a more sustainable future. Order Now was crucial to consolidate CTT as the market leader and to respond to the increasingly demand service levels, as you can see for the program KPIs. Right now, we are capable to process each day more than 140,000 packets, that answering not only the 200% growth in demand that we had since the start of the project, but also providing us the leverage we need to cope with peak periods like the ones we are living now and Black Friday and Christmas. And those results were achieved with substantial cost savings in labor and logistics activity. And let's be clear, 2016 production and logistic model will be untenable under the current environment. But we must not forget that technology and system isn't the end by themselves. They need to be supported with business and operation transformation. We need people embracing change, especially in a project as large and with the dimensions that we had with Order Now. So we must enable our workforce to shift seamlessly from the current to the new technologies and system. And Order Now achieved just that. Creating value in this background of change, advancing the organization culture, realigning the strategic and operational focus of the organization to a modern, innovative, and efficient operation that is driven by a workforce that is motivated to be part of this transformation cycle. It's no longer just a letter. It's no longer only talking the talk. We also walk the walk. It shows that we are committed. We are committed to moving forward together as a company to a wider logistics scope, that is focused on this new area of business growth, a logistic company that also delivers letters. And of course, we also want to seize this opportunity to show our appreciation for all the hard work, our amazing and dedicated team believe in this project since day one. And without them, it will be impossible for me and Paulo to be here today and to share Order Now's successful journey. And finally, and going full cycle, let's return to our origins, to the 16th century, when one of the most important Portuguese poets, Luís Vaz de Camões, was already writing about the nature of change. Trust me, this in Portuguese is much better. But 500 years later, we can say it, perhaps in a more prosaic way, change is inevitable. Embrace it. Thank you and keep safe.
Thank you, Pedro. Thank you, Paulo. I must say, going back 500 years and now back to a supply chain 4.0. Maybe we'll see each other later at the announcement of the best project. We're all crossing fingers for you guys. Yes. And thank you for this effort. And
okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Bye to all.
Bye. Now, moving on to project 2. We're going to France. MG2 Plus is a collaborative project with 4 competing manufacturers. Those who know French candy will want to have 1 or 2. Carambar & Co., C'est Moi, some Italian, Ferrero, and Mondelez. And 2 logistic platform providers, Interlog Logistics and FM Logistics, with a common objective to reduce the number of trucks on the road and gas emissions. This innovative process of VDI pooling can mutualize trucks for the retailers and other distribution channels. Julia, Christoph, over to you. Bless you.
God bless you.
No COVID, I hope.
Who is Thomas? We don't know.
Hello.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
All good. Super. Over to you guys. We're all ears. Same game, 15 to 20 minutes to present to us, your project.
Thank you for that introduction, and thank you to everyone for your attendance. I am Christophe Jovenio, General Director at Interlog.
Good afternoon. I'm Julia Sharko, Operations Director. We are happy to be with you this afternoon, and it is with great pleasure that we present you our MG2 Plus project.
We are honored to have been selected as a finalist from the European Logistics Association. So, Julia, to put everyone in context, why the name of MG2 Plus?
Yeah, everything, just 1 minute. I need to present you our presentation. So, everything starts from chocolates. In our pool, the majority of the companies are chocolate producers. As you know, chocolate is good for your health, for your brain, and for your resistance to stress. But do you know why? Because it contains magnesium, and MG2 Plus is the chemical symbol for magnesium. By the way, Christophe, can you please explain how MG2 Plus project started?
So this project was born from the separation of Mondelez and Caramba. They were sharing their logistics, warehouse, customers, transports, everything. Then came the idea of growing the pool with other industrial partners in similar fields. Indeed, when creating a pool, it is important to be careful about products compatibility. I'm of course talking about specificities like liquids, temperature-controlled transport, etc. But it goes further than that. Imagine transporting tires with a strong rubber smell in the same truck that carries chocolate. It would change the flavor and smell of the chocolate by the time the shipment arrives.
No, the chocolate would not taste good, you're right. To go into more details, the MG2 Plus project was organized and managed by Interlog. Before handling the daily operations, we started with studying a full set of flows and their ability to be pulled. We checked if they had the same delivery points, the same or nearby loading docks, truck loading rates, frequency, and we calculated a potential decrease in number of trucks on the road. Then Interlog developed the accurate pooling process in coordination with all the players, the industries, distributors, carriers, and warehouse. This basically means we tracked which day and what time the transport order were received. That allowed us to analyze, propose a pooling solution, and ensure that solution is validated. Then we send the pooled orders to carriers and we organize and track the transport. Here we are talking about an end-to-end process handled by Interlog as an independent 4PL partner. The companies were strongly involved in this project, onboarding their clients to get them to adopt and apply the pooling process in their operations.
Well, for the first time, MG2 Plus brings together direct competitors. It is therefore essential to put in place very precise and consistent legal safeguards concerning data privacy. We worked with lawyers of each company to develop a chart that precisely describes the data they can share and what they cannot. In daily operations, our tools data privacy. Each manufacturer only has access to their own data. Interlog is responsible for and guarantees the data privacy.
Talking about tools, it's important to explain that we have two different tools for two different situations. One, we of course operate VMI with OCS that Interlog owns, maintains, and continues to develop. But besides that, what is new and innovative in this project is the solution that we implemented to supply distributors who do not wish or cannot let the producers control their transport orders and stock. We developed a specific module in our TMS called Click and Track that enable everyone to work in EDI pooling.
Well, one of the main benefits delivered by this project is the securing of transports. Carriers are more interested in working with full trucks, which they prioritize in their business. With MG2 Plus, we generated less trucks on the road, giving them back some capacity. Furthermore, the distributors offer fixed unloading time slots, which is very attractive for carriers, as it makes their management easier and reduces their waiting time. But the most important benefit we get is the reduction of the number of trucks on the road, which tremendously impacts the carbon emissions. Less trucks on the road will reduce greenhouse gas emissions, leading to a cleaner Earth.
Sorry, Christophe, the presentation needs to be interrupted because of some important news. Please stay tuned.
Hello and thanks for tuning into this special program about the state of health of our planet, which is coughing and making us cough because of our CO2 emissions. And yet, faced with climate change, a group of men and women has decided to simply change their habits. Their challenge is to put less heavy goods vehicles into circulation on our roads and thus to diminish CO2 emissions. Let's head straight off and meet them. The EDI pooling process is based on the alignment of the orders of the same retailer on the same day for all the manufacturers of the pool. 4 days to deadline. The retailer establishes and individually sends its orders to each supplier. Each manufacturer sends back its orders to the control tower, which is the only one to have a consolidated view of all the orders. The control tower determines whether a mutualization of the truck is possible, according to the number of floor pallets and the total weight of the orders. The objective of the analysis, shared with the manufacturers and retailers, is to optimize the filling up of the truck. And it is the retailer who remains in control of the order. 3 days to deadline. A second analysis is conducted by the control tower based on the orders adjusted by the retailer. This enables it to define the orders which will be pooled in the same truck. 2 days to deadline. Carrier brokerage is carried out in line with the information from the pooling analysis. 1 day to deadline. The orders are prepared in the warehouse and loaded according to the planning defined for the pool. D-Day, delivery of the pooled orders. EDI pooling is a flexible process adapted to all retailers, types, sizes and organizations. The process is implemented from one delivery point to the next in a few weeks.
Good afternoon. My name is Hervé Schöckl. I am the head of development in FM France, meaning that I have in charge sales and marketing, tender process and project departments. The pooling approach has been implemented by FM for the first time in 2003 in France and maybe also in the world. This capability to optimize the supply chain of manufacturers by combining deliveries to the same retailers' delivery points is part of the DNA of FM. We offer to our clients for more than 50 years now XXL warehouses where they found daily synergies. As described in the film, FM has implemented in the last 2 decades several pools, and these require natural partners in order to organize co-VMI and the management of the transport. Interlog and FM cooperate in most of them. FM is a logistic provider of the 4 manufacturers present in the MG2 Plus pool. For some of them, our partnership started more than 30 years ago. Since 2012, for 2 of them, the logistics is operated in our site in Neuville-aux-Bois in the north part of Orléans. The other 2 joined the site in order to create the pool MG2 Plus. This FM site opened in 2006 and is a huge one. It's more than 85,000 square meters and 300 people work every day on average on this site. Up to 400 as we have co-packing operations, which are quite seasonal operations. Daily, the FM teams prepare the orders for the 4 manufacturers, and according to the planning defined by Interlog, they are making the co-loading of the trucks. These can represent more than 68,000 cases and more than 7,000 pallets picked every day. The pooling approach is the most efficient I know in logistics. It allows to improve the service levels of the manufacturers, to optimize the transport budget, and also to reduce significantly the carbon footprint of each company. And I must say that these 4 manufacturers are very clever, because they are competitors on their market, but they understood that the competition is long before the logistics. And so they have to collaborate in order to achieve this reduction of the CO2 emission.
The target of the pool. 10,000 trucks less on the road each year. Which equals 3,000 tons of CO2 saved in 1 year. That's 3,000 return trips from Paris to New York by plane.
Go! We thank you very much for your attention. We are happy to be a representative in these major innovating changes in logistics. We want to thank our partners, manufacturers, carriers, distributors for participating with us in these ecological improvements of supply chain and industry in general.
Thank you all and good afternoon.
Thank you.
Julia and Christophe, merci.
Merci. I like to hear someone speaking French.
Thank you.
Indeed, rubber-scented chocolate would not have pleased a Belgian consumer like myself. Good luck to you both for your votes for best presentation.
Thanks again.
Now over to Switzerland, another chocolate country. Thank you, ELA and the technical team, to have provided us with this platform. We are real jet setters today. Uli Ruger, Head of Logistics at Lidl, Switzerland, will present to us the project number 3, Goodbye Diesel, whereby significant carbon dioxide reduction in transport will be attained by using alternative renewable powertrains and fuels. Uli, the virtual floor is yours. Are you with us?
Thank you, Cynthia. Hello. Hello, Europe. Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes,
Hi.
Loud and clear.
Perfect. Hello, my name is Uli Ruger, and I'm the head of logistics with Lidl Switzerland. Right next to me is Peter Krummen sitting. Peter is the CEO of Krummen Kerzers, our logistics service provider and main partner in this project. We are both very proud to have this special opportunity today to share some insights of our project with you. It's a great honor to be among the finalists and of all these interesting and innovative projects. We would like to thank the jury for the nomination and the European Logistics Association for the organization of this event. I'm sure it has taken some extra hours and efforts to switch from a live to an online event. We all have been challenged the last couple of months, and also today, it's actually the very first time to present our project Goodbye Diesel online. I don't want to spend any more words at this point, but let the picture speak. Enjoy the movie. Ja, look. Es ist so, ich lasse wirklich.
Wir haben angefangen, kommst du bitte?
Klar. Ja. Ja, okay. Ja, ich verstehe dich absolut und ich mache, was ich kann. Ich kann dir einfach nichts garantieren. Aber du, schau, wir schauen einfach... Oh. Du solltest jetzt gehen, wir reden später, gell? Ich melde mich. Tschüss. Oh, sorry. I hope that wasn't annoying. That was my daughter. That would never have happened before I became a father. Are you familiar with that bind? They should have priority, no question about it. But in situations like this, it would be simpler to walk around them. Darling, I don't have time right now. Yes, maybe this evening, and so on. I hope you understand. Her future is important to me. Many, many thanks. Then let's start with our vision. Lidl Switzerland has made sustainable logistics a core goal and worked on an ambitious vision to supply all stores across the country without fossil fuels by 2030. To reach this long-term goal, we require a clear roadmap, the implementation of numerous measures,
and an unrivaled readiness to innovate and take the associated risks. A significant reduction in CO2 emissions from goods transport is possible today, especially by utilizing alternative drives and fuels. We don't want to waste more time, but face the challenge now and find solutions. Peter, it's your turn. 3, 2, 1, go!
Freight transport is growing and will continue to grow. We, as logistics service provider with more than 200 trucks and 300 employees, are part of that development. But we strongly believe that transport must become more sustainable as fast as possible, not only to reach the Paris Agreement, but for our own future, for the future of our kids. Waiting is no longer an option.
You might be asking why. Why of all companies is a discount supermarket driving forward innovation in logistics in Switzerland?
For Lidl Switzerland, sustainability is an underlying attitude and the core of our value system. We are convinced that sustainability and our smart discount company model are not mutually exclusive. We believe that everyone has to contribute in order to meet huge challenges such as climate change or resource scarcity. We want to perform our contribution and take responsibility. Goodbye Diesel is one of many projects that we are using to implement sustainability. Sustainability in transport is crucial for us as a retailer because logistics is a central hub and anchor point for us.
Don't have anything to add to that, except maybe that many things aren't as simple as they sound. Oh, next chapter is on me. Despite the need for action, Switzerland is lacking in the required technology to fully replace diesel-powered freight traffic. These difficult, basic conditions call for the sector to work together beyond the usual borders of competition to find sustainable, widely implementable solutions. We have recognized that we need to work with our suppliers, carriers, scientists, and even competitors in order to make the entire supply chain more sustainable. You see, it's not that easy. The problems are identified relatively quickly and formulating them takes even less time. But solving them takes a bit longer.
Together with Lidl Switzerland, we have been looking into different options to replace the diesel without limiting payload or range of the trucks. We knew we had to look beyond our borders if we were ever to make a breakthrough. The EU already acknowledges the potential for LNG and promotes the use of LNG. Switzerland currently has no financial incentives for LNG or CNG vehicles. It also quickly became clear that there were no refueling station operators without trucks on the market. Yet no one wanted to invest in truck without refueling station infrastructure.
Imagine you want to fight for something, but only very few people know what you're talking about.
While everyone is touting electromobility in Switzerland, other kinds of engines are being treated like stepchildren. Even though there is a broad consensus that battery-based electromobility is not a solution for long-distance heavy traffic. So the first thing for us to do is to clear up all the prejudice against fossil fuel engines. To do this, we have asked the King of Switzerland to help us combat the prejudice together.
You're going to ask the King of Switzerland? Yup. Christian Stucki is our king because he won the federal Schwingfest. His reputation and his popularity in Switzerland can easily be compared with that of Roger Federer. Lidl Switzerland is his main sponsor and he's a credible messenger for Goodbye Diesel since he's a truck driver during his regular life. Sorry for the interruption.
Lidl Schweiz wird ja ab 2030 seine Ware CO2-neutral transportieren. Auch mit Biogas. Und das ist die Städtmeisterin von Lidl Schweiz, die die Vision umsetzen soll. Und die Touchmeisterin von Lidl Schweiz ist eine Kämpferin. Das glaubst du gar nicht. Das ist etwa so, wie wenn du im Sagmaul liegst, bevor du es checkst, dass du gar nicht mehr auf den Füßen stehst. Und dann habe ich gedacht, also, dann probieren wir das Biogaszeugs so zu erklären, dass es Leute wie du und ich auch verstehen.
So watch out! Our project manager is a force to be reckoned with. But even so, we still have to draw on all our strengths to overcome one of the most classic innovation blockades.
Together with Little Switzerland, we decided to take a risk and solve the chicken and the egg problem by providing and operating the required refueling infrastructure. Operating an LNG refueling station requires intensive safety precautions, and the stations need to be regularly frequented. Commissioning the infrastructure requires not only the necessary capital and resources, but also tremendous commitment and a constant readiness to conquer the new challenges associated with a pioneering project every day. In the meanwhile, I truly became an expert on LNG and the filling stations.
Courage and collaboration got this project underway. However, there are plenty of other hurdles that continually challenge us. We already know many of these, others we don't, and some we've already overcome.
Because of an error in the Swiss customs law, LNG was being taxed way too high. Changing the law took a lot of time and energy, but we committed to changing it, and now the tax rate has been corrected by the Swiss customs.
It's my daughter again.
Electromobility alone will not be able to master the challenges, especially since Switzerland has too little electricity available from renewable sources during the winter half of the year. We were able to force a shift in thinking through a lot of intense communication.
Our big vision started to become reality. The first 2 LNG refueling stations are in operation, and today more than 35 LNG-powered trucks are already on the road for Little Switzerland. But as you can imagine, a team with this much drive has bigger goals. Even before the first refueling, it was clear to Little Switzerland that LNG was only ever a bridge to a more sustainable fuel. With our eyes on the target of being able to operate fossil fuel-free logistics in the near future, Little Switzerland is now working together with Krummenkerzers on the project Hello LBG. LBG stands for liquefied biogas from waste and can be used in the refueling stations and vehicles just like LNG. Using biomass as a fuel closes the CO2 circle both physically and chronologically, as only as much CO2 is released as can be recaptured by nature. This is what makes LBG a true renewable energy.
Alongside biogenic production, methane can be created from renewable power and CO2 in a power-to-X process. Methane created in this way is just as positive for the climate as biogas, and also serves as an energy store. Renewables like wind and solar energy are not necessarily created when they are required. Methanation of the surplus power allows this energy to be stored and used as a fuel. In the meantime, Little Switzerland has become a partner of the Swiss Federal Laboratories for Material Science and Technology and is helping to finance the first power-to-gas system in Switzerland. Our first truck will be driving in 2022.
As we said, things are moving forward, but fighting spirit alone would not be enough.
The Goodbye Diesel project has attracted national and international attention. What this cooperation shows in particular is the readiness to work together beyond the limits of competition and to take deliberate risks to obtain resources along the entire supply chain. The project will have a positive impact not only on an economic and ecological level, but also on a social level.
Yes, collaboration is our thing. It's efficient and allows us to ask ourselves the right questions.
Reaching our target till 2030 means not losing any time, but act now. We therefore ask ourselves regularly if we are on the right track. We are highly confident using biogas will be a key factor to fossil-free logistics. Nevertheless, we question our activities and stay in close contact with universities and research partners. We will need all available alternatives to finally say goodbye to diesel.
It's all about our future. For me personally, this means that my daughter is really on my case today. She wants me to tell you that it's more about her future than mine. She still has to work on the way she communicates, something like that. But she's not wrong, is she? So, with that in mind, we would like to thank you for the nomination. Because despite of all the positive energy and drive, we still need support to carry on. Despite the unfavorable political circumstances for LNG, LBG or even synthetic gas, LGG, we are preserving with our project aims and activities. A further refueling station belonging to Krummenkerzers will be connected to the network this winter. Both the refueling station in Weinfelden and Seva are already closing the gap in the supply chain between Germany, Italy and France. The European Logistics Award would support and promote this commitment to the environment as well as the project partners' tolerance for risk-taking. The prize would also confirm that it's worthwhile to use and develop our core competencies in order to venture forward with courage and vision, rapidly and effectively implementing the possibilities for environmentally friendly and climate-friendly freight traffic that are effectively available today. What time is it where you are? It's exactly 5 to 12 now. High time I go back to work. Being late is not an option when it comes to the climate. I'll hand you back to Christian for the last important topic.
Alongside Krummenkerzers and Little Switzerland, the cooperation partners Tourtrans and KMT made the project possible. Without the cooperation of these logistics partners and many other partners from the industry or universities, the implementation of this project would never have been possible. Together with its partners, Little Switzerland is taking its ecological and social responsibility to society and its employers seriously. This investment, pioneering spirit and cooperation beyond the usual limits of competition really is one of a kind. Together, we are effectively shaping the future. Thanks to everyone to make this possible.
Go.
Thank you for this movie. So just before we go back to Uli, alongside Uli is Peter Krummen, CEO of Krummenkerzers, who is also available to answer any questions you may have through the chat platform. Sorry, Peter, I didn't say hello to you before.
No problem.
So guys, back to you to conclude.
Thank you, Cynthia. So I hope you all enjoyed our movie presentation. Of course, this was just the beginning of a very long journey. And thanks to everybody who made this possible. I'm looking forward to succeed many more milestones on our path to a fossil-free store delivery and a sustainable supply chain. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you both. So that was project.
You're welcome. Thank you.
See you around maybe later for best presentation.
I hope so.
So this is a right moment to remind people, those who are joining us, that the voting platform is open. You'll be able to find the link on the chat column on the right-hand side of your screen. The finalists are counting on your votes, everyone. Let's move on to project number 4. to Germany, where Patrick Menz is waiting for us, member of the board at Loxes. He'll present to us Smile, smart and innovative logistics for e-commerce, process optimization, artificial intelligence, automation, innovation management as an enabler for e-commerce growth. Patrick, are you with us today?
Thank you, Cynthia. Yes, I'm with you, and warmly welcome to the logistics family in Europe. So I try to share my screen. I think it's working now. So can you see my screen?
Yes, we can,
Okay,
Patrick.
fine. All right, then thank you very much, dear Mr. Bisioni, dear sirs and madams, my audience. On behalf of the whole Loxes team, I'm very pleased today to present our project and solution Smile, Smart and Innovative Logistics for E-Commerce. We are very proud of being nominated to the finalist. As Cynthia said, my name is Patrick Menz. I'm a member of the board of Loxes, and I'm responsible for this application. And I would like to take you in the next 15 to 20 minutes in a little journey to the history and to the future of the logistics innovation at Loxes. And the project Smile starts in 2016 when we were awarded to build up and implement a logistics solution for the new online distribution center of one of Germany's largest drugstores company. I mean, maybe you know it, it's DM Drogeriemarkt. It is a very successful retailer with about 2,000 stores in Germany who now decided to expand its delivery and service offers for its customers by an online store as part of a multi-channel strategy for the German market. Fortunately, at that time, there were no Corona in sight, but the decision to lay the foundation for B2C delivery service and channel will prove to be a very major competitive advantage in 2020. But let me give you the three very important things and core elements of the implementation phase that was crucial for this project. First of all, it was very, very important for DM that the brand DM and the behavior and the spirit of the DM markets should remain recognizable online as DM as well as it is in the retail stores offline. So they want to preserve their DNA, which will be manifested in the look and feel and the shopping experience the customer will live and enjoy. And this leads finally to a very growth-orientated setup, because even the expectations and perspectives for the development of volumes were quite optimistic. There were no reliable data or experiences to the past to forecast the business that could have been used. It was therefore absolutely crucial and important that the general setup was enabling a high flexibility. And that leads to the third part of the setup requirements. You have to deal with it in a very, very volatile environment. The project setup therefore had to be capable in a maximum of resilience. We heard of that before in one of those speeches. A circumstance at the end that in times of Corona became very, very crucial. And when thinking of Corona, you might have followed the news, what became the most high demanded product in the German market in the online retail business. It was not wine, it was not cheese, it was not food. No, it was toilet paper. So this leads me to the assortment of DM, what has to be handled in this new online business. And this is very, very important to understand for the project issues, that the spectrum of these assortments are very, very heterogeneous. From the mentioned toilet paper, we had to handle organic food, cleaning products, pet food, cosmetics, and even textiles. So, and all those products need their own specific storage, but especially they need special requirements regarding the packing and the packaging. We will come back to that later. So if you have a short look at the graph below on my slide, you will see that the normal brick and mortar store provides about 8,000 SKUs. You can see it on the dashed line. But in the online business, which is not very unusual, we have to provide 8,000 online only products as well to the normal assortment. And this raises up and sums up to the maximum of SKUs in this business of about 20,000 SKUs which have to be handled in the online business. And at the beginning of this project, shown in the upper slide, you can see how quickly the reality has exceeded the plans. And of course, you also face a 2020 Corona effect in the middle of the 2020 graph. But beside this very unique effect, it was for the project team very, very aware that at least 6 months after the beginning, it became clear that the progressions of the volumes will exceed the expectations of all project members in this matter. So nobody has expected that the growth will rise up so dramatically. So when you now look at the order structure of a typical order in the DM online business, then you will face something very, very unique. Loxis, who has been delivering services in the online business since 2006, has made a lot of solutions in that field. But all those solutions had one thing in common. Typically, you have a factor of 1 to 2. That means you have one order which is consisting of maybe 2 positions and 2 items. But looking on this order structure of the DM market, you will see that you have complete different kind of quantity structures. One order consists of 25 pieces, 11 positions, and this is the average. And if you remember the rapidly growth of the project, you can hardly understand, or you can understand what this will affect on the logistics business. And when you combine this with the volatility of the daily and the weekly peak loads, which has been shown on the right side of the slide, you have to face 300% of peak load. Can you imagine the impact this will produce by that to your warehouse operations and to your logistics? Normally, we had to deliver destinations like households, parcel lockers, and stores as well. But coming back to the volatility, we had to face some very unique effects nobody has expected before. Suddenly, there were increasements of orders on the Friday, because we faced suddenly B2B e-com customer orders. What does that mean? We noticed on Fridays that there is a massive amount of orders incoming, which is consisting of 40, 50, or even 70 parts per order. And all those orders had something in common. After some examinations, we find this out. And this is all those orders had different delivery addresses, namely to recipients who are working in kindergartens, law firms, and medical clinics. So what's the explanation for that? I think by starting this B2C channel and by starting this, the employees of these recipients conveniently ordered their practice supplies online, get them delivered to the 3rd, 4th, or 5th floor, instead of rowing up and waiting at the checkout lines on their free Saturdays. So that was a unique impact and a very unique process impact in this doing. So, and if you come back to the DM claim and their, let's say, their DNA, DM uses an advertising, which is called "Here I am human and here I shop." And what does it mean? This claim means that the quality and the shopping experience online has to be as good as it is in the stores. And this preserves the DNA of DM. Specifically, this means the maximum picking quality the consumer does, the picking quality the consumer does not reach into the wrong shelf when he goes to the stores. So this is the same expectation he wants to get his deliveries when it gets delivered to his door. The packaging himself, the insert, the document, they have to be branded in a DM logo so that they can divide from the big markets and big players in the online business, which they are not doing this in this way. So and the massive impact in the doing is the different kind of treating the items in this order. Though the baby food should not run over the t-shirt, the detergents should not give off any smells to the organic products, and glass must not splinter during the whole delivery process. This is a very, very, very huge requirement in this project. And if you have this as a requirement in your logistic solution, you must take of this very seriously. And at the end of the picking process, there has to be a careful packing remaining. So please keep this in mind to understand the rest of the general setup. We have a picking process, we have a packing area at the end. So this is in short term the initial situation. But what solution can we provide to do so? The whole project team became very aware of, and it was quite clear from the beginning that the existing solution wouldn't match all the requirements very, very good. So how do you meet these requirements? A pure automation was impossible due to the different workloads and the products, but a pure scaling by more manpower became very, very quickly impracticable. So the project team decided to think in new ways and realized that a new solution was needed, which is called SMILE. And SMILE consists of three elements. It is man, it is machine, and it is mathematics. So, and if you transfer it to the other given buzzwords, it is human, it is technology, and it's artificial intelligence. In the human area, we try to focus on organizing new working shift models, in integrating scanner or wearables like Google Glasses or these finger scanners to ease the work for the employees. In terms of the technology, we try to optimize those things in kinds of automation in those fields where we can automate in order to avoid repetition of individual process steps. And the AI component in this whole setup should lead to process optimization by using the data, by using predictions, and by integrating simulations and real-time control mechanism. So, but the unique thing and the innovative thing in this whole setup lies in the interaction between these three elements. And today I would like to introduce one of the core elements, because time. And this is the integration of the AI into the planning and the controlling process, how to control and steer our warehouse. It all started then with Loxis that teamed up with a startup company named Heureka. And Heureka is a provider of heuristic solutions in logistics service providing and producing for warehouse sceneries. And we decided to start in the system structure in this setup. Step one was just to build up a digital twin for the whole warehouse in a kind of construction that the LOS, the logistics optimization software, this is a product, the name of the heuristic software product, and the WMS, the warehouse management system, as the executive system, was connected to transfer and to transmit real-time data to get on working with that. So the functionality is divided into analysis, summarization, and autonomous decision-making by LOS, and execution and shop floor management by the executive system, the WMS system. So to summarize it, the LOS receives all the data in a real time and has a kind of digital image of our warehouse. So this enables LOS to carry out various simulations and provide us with real-time monitoring and results to steer and to control our operations. So how does it look like? In the step two, we just started by in the execution of some kind of scenarios, simulations, analyses to just get a better hint and a better idea what kind of optimizations would be possible. So for that purpose, we feeded the LOS system with previous data of 1 year, real-time data of 1 year, to create a lot of kind of visualizations of the routes and the picking tours. You will see that on the left side of the screen and of the display. And on the other hand, we decided to give us an analysis and overview of the warehouse occupancy and utilization, as well as the densities and the frequented areas of the area. We call it heat map. On the right side, you can see in the green buttons those areas who are low frequented, and the red ones who are which are very high frequented areas in the buy. And the idea and the goal was to create an algorithm which would be able to deal with different scenarios in the future, to learn and to use predictions, and to be able to find better optimals in the future. At the beginning, the question was simply, which kind of optimas would be reachable in a theoretical way. And after having done this and after developing this algorithm, it getting started to becoming a real process and a real steering element. So we started with the algorithmic disposition that the algorithm starts to plan faster as a human to determine the current best optimum by consideration, lead times, availabilities, product characteristics, and much more, just to give us the best optimum at that specific moment. And as you can see on the right slide, the algorithm is able to make the simulations and dispositions in a very short interval, while the human manager is just doing it within 2 hours. And you lose a lot of optimization possibilities when you just not shorten up this interval. And the idea is, if the AI uses real-time data and is able to consider more relevant information, we will get better result to optimize the process on the shop floor. And by looking to this kind of optimization, it was a search, a reaching for the stars. And our mathematician in our project team gave us a little picture of how the algorithm is working. If you look at a trillion, you can describe this number as a figure called 10 to the power of 21. And if you go ahead and you ask how many stars do we have in our universe, you can describe it as 2 times 10 to the power of 108. And at that time, our algorithm is now dealing with a new optimum by releasing orders. We have the unbelievable figure of 2 to 10 by the power of 21,000 possible ideas. So if you have found your star, the question at the end of this implementation of the algorithm was, what are you doing with it? So what are you doing when you found your star, the best optimum to get it done in the logistics? So, and Loxis is operating this business in a multi-order processing solution, and the algorithm just disposes now independently and autonomously the orders. But we had to transform those mathematics results into logistics reality. So Loxis started by beginning the optimization with a multi-order picking process consisting of 2 different kinds of wagons. And with the optimization given by the algorithm, now we expand that to, you can see it on the bottom of the slide, to 5 different kind of picking wagons and picking totes. So it starts with a pick tote, which just consists in 1 order and ends up by a picking tote, which is consisting and bundling 42 orders, which can be picked simultaneously and parallel. And while I'm telling you this, they are actually, we expanded it to 6 different multi-order trolleys today. So today we will be able to provide the AI with several specifications of the existing logistics units, as you can see it here. And the algorithm is improving itself by simulating ongoing and ongoing. So we will finding new optimizations in the future by making some amendments to the logistics system and feeding the algorithm with this new characteristics and informations. But on the other hand, when you imagine that you have several, let's say 100 pick trains and trolleys in your system, you supply about, let's say 100 packing stations at the end. You have to pick from 50,000 picking locations, and you have to move more than 350,000 parts each day. Then you have to synchronize and to monitor this process. Otherwise, you get a real problem. And the fascinating thing in this solution is that we started to turn around the management philosophy and the steering philosophy, how to deal with steering and warehouse. If you think of the normal and ordinary warehouse operations, you have these control towers. And in this control tower, the people are just trying to steer and monitor this anthill of people which are running through their operations. And to have a better steering and monitoring of all this, we have developed this innovation based on apps that are installed on smartphones, and those smartphones they are given to the team leaders directly on the shop floor. So furthermore, we do not use any kind of control tower, as you might know. So we just transfer this decision making by giving the right information to the right time to the right guy in the shop floor field. So all of those team leaders are able to receive all the information via their smartphones and react directly. So we no longer look retrospectively at the performance of a past period, but instead we control all orders and resources in real time and give prospective alerts in case of deviations. So in this real-time monitoring, in this active controlling, and by using push notifications, the team leader is able to make correction if this is needed. And what you can see on the screens, on the left smartphone, you will see just an overview of the actual KPIs and the order fulfillment in terms of SLR measurements. In the middle, you will see some messages the team leader will get by the AI, who gives him some alerts and warnings if something is in trouble. And the right side, the right column, you can see the steering of the synchronization between the packing area and the picking, the end of the picking lines. And we use just the colors to steer and to control the right trolleys that has to be passed to the right packing position and packing station at the end of the process.
Patrick, this is Cynthia.
Yes.
Within the real-time time management, I am your timekeeper.
All right. Yeah, all right.
If you can wrap up in a minute, that would be great, Patrick.
I can wrap up in 2-3 minutes, yes.
Okay.
All right.
That way we can make the competition fair for everyone.
Yeah, I got 20 minutes, so I'm just 4 minutes. Okay, let's come to the results. We just managed the growth at the end by using this AI controlled solution. We will be able to increase productivity in the picking area by 200%, and the distance was reduced by 20% per picture. And as you can see, the packaging performance, due to the better synchronization between packing and picking, could be improved by 150% per units. This is quite clear that we're very, very satisfied of this project. So this is just the result as we are now. Just few words to the end. The AI evolution will lead to the synchronization of the personal steering management in the next step of the usage. So the AI will autonomously help us to staff our shift and staff our areas by dealing with this information and give us alternatives to that. And on the other hand, we just invented and implement actually a traffic jam alert that will help us to avoid people running into busy areas and creating bottlenecks due to the reason of massive growth. And this is a part of the Corona effect. We are working on that. And nowadays we're quite proud of it, that we can deal with these problems in the future. And we will expand those AI evolution to other projects as well. So this is it. Thank you for your attention as well. We live in a time of silicon economy, and logistics can be algorithmized. This is from Professor Ten Humble of the Fraunhofer Institute. Loxis believe that AI will ease our business and improves our services with a smile. Thank you for your attention.
Patrick, thank you. We really hope Loxis, with its smile, reaches the stars. So now over to the UK for presentation number 5, our 5th finalist. Here we're going to be presented with a logistics optimization project between Rolls-Royce and Seva Logistics, aiming at gaining access to industry best practice technology and expertise, reducing overall cost of operations, and improving service levels to both internal and external customers. Nick Hawkins, Global Key Account Managers at Seva Logistics, should be here with us. Nick, can you hear me?
I can, yes. Cynthia, can you hear me?
Very well, loud and clear.
Good, good. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Yeah, welcome from the UK, where, as Richard said earlier, we are now homebound again in our second lockdown. So I'm very jealous seeing everybody at work rather than sat in their home. So apologies now if you hear barking dogs or screaming children in the background. Something that's become fairly commonplace. So yeah, so my name's Nick Hawkins. I work for Seva on our Rolls-Royce account, one of our most important accounts. I'm going to present to you today a project that we worked in conjunction with Rolls-Royce, a client that we've been working with for over 10 years. In terms of a quick introduction of who we are, Seva Logistics, one of the world's leading logistics providers. Our client, Rolls-Royce, so apologies if you think it's the cars, it's not. It's predominantly the aircraft engine manufacturing side of Rolls-Royce, as well as obviously other world-leading industrial technology power products that Rolls-Royce produce. So this is actually a joint submission from both of us. The project was actually split into two that ran together. So I'll describe each project, go through with then the end results at the end. So the first one was regarding Rolls-Royce's inbound supply chain challenge. They'd found over time that their supply chain become very fragmented, inconsistent, had quite a lot of manual workarounds and processes in place that, if anybody knows the aerospace sector, did create some compliance risks, as well as a huge lack of visibility, which meant they couldn't actually measure their supply chain. They could measure chunks of it, but not as an end-to-end performance. And ultimately, one of their biggest frustrations was enormous amounts of uncontrolled spend. As you can imagine, with all of that, it led to either inconsistent or in many cases, a complete lack of data. So actually then trying to identify where to improve and what to do to change made it impossible. So they gave themselves the challenge that they called logistics optimization. And then this is where Seva came in to help Rolls-Royce with this challenge. So what did we do together? We had to start right at the beginning, and that started with realigning Rolls-Royce's supplier inco and payment terms. No mean feat, tens of thousands of suppliers in total. We targeted the predominant ones, the main ones are the 850, where Rolls-Royce, with our assistance, renegotiated terms to enable this logistics optimization to commence. And then after that, the physical activity of actually transitioning all of their global inbound freight to Seva with defined transit times, service level agreements by origin and destination pair, some 60,000 lanes and routes that we needed to do that too, that involved all modes of transport, all regions as well, as you can see here. So global freight, air, ground, across UK, Europe, North America and Singapore, as well as all sorts of service level requirements. So either a standard or urgent, even hand carry and charters, as well as in-gauge and out of gauge as well. So this truly was a global project in changing a global supply chain. What else did we do to create that visibility? And I'm not going to go through all of these elements on here, but we set up 3 global control towers, one located in the UK, one located in the US, and one in Singapore, with the predominant aim of helping Rolls-Royce manage that supply chain, manage their suppliers, and most importantly, give them visibility as to what was where and when. We then, obviously, to do that, had to integrate systems. And if you're seeing the slide, I will certainly not bore you with the integration of those systems. But what it did involve was virtually the entire suite of Seva systems that we call Matrix, interfacing with Rolls-Royce's host system of SAP to enable that, the transactions to run through the system, but again, most importantly, providing that visibility that gave Rolls-Royce something they'd never had before, milestone updates of saying, yep, we've received an order, we've collected it, we are delivering it then, we have delivered it, and then even to the point where we've receipted it back into their system as well. What did we do then? So behind all of that, we created this huge database of different things that we could provide to Rolls-Royce. One of their biggest requirements was around spend. And we took the data that sat within the system, took it out into a click format, and now provide Rolls-Royce on a monthly basis of where they're spending money, in what region, what business unit within theirs, what vendors are supplying, and where they're creating cost. If people are booking urgent shipments same day and adding unnecessary cost in where that is. Absolutely invaluable to Rolls-Royce and how they completely revolutionize their supply chain. What else did we do with the data? I've put one example here, but one of the things we're most proud of is working together to drive continuous improvement. We, again, use the data, we target ourselves on achieving cost down year on year for Rolls-Royce. That exceeds over £5 million every year out of their supply chain spend. But then we can take it to the next level. And the example I've put on the screen here is where we actually can use the part data, so the weights and dims of the parts themselves, and then the packaging data that goes through our system, and actually then provide Rolls-Royce with a analysis of where they're shipping fresh air. So you can see in the top left, anything that's green potentially is fresh air. And then through that, reduce the packaging spend, work with their packaging suppliers and the vendors and the Rolls-Royce plants, and ultimately reduce spend through their logistics. So that was the first part of the challenge that we did, with the results to come shortly. The second part was in their aftermarket business, where essentially they had two problems. First of all, they'd ended up with 2 warehouses for their aftermarket global supply chain. One of those needed to actually be knocked down to create more production space for Rolls-Royce. So they took the opportunity, to put out a global tendering process, which SIVA were fortunate enough to win. And what we managed to do with that was actually consolidate both warehouses, both in the region of 15,000 square meters, into one warehouse. And I'll come on to how we did that. What we had to do with that was actually keep operations going. So there wasn't any stock build, there was no ceasing of operations whilst we did that. We had to keep both warehouses going and bring one into the other. So again, how did we do that? So we can see the 2 core designs of each warehouse there. We took that data, and most importantly took stock turn, cubic capacity, and how we were utilizing the warehouse. Again, if anybody knows anything in aerospace, there is an enormous amount of slow moving stock. Looked at packaging, looked at type of storage media, and what we could do differently to enable that, squeezing 2 warehouses, both of which were full, into one warehouse. We then scoured the market, engaged with our various suppliers, and thought, okay, well, what can we do differently here? One of the first things we did was taking that slow moving stock, was empty a chamber, and instead of having standard racking, put in mobile racking. One of the most incredible engineering feats I've seen in a warehouse, and scares me every time I see it moving. But what that did was create an additional 6,000 pallet spaces within the same footprint. So 2/3 more than what we started with. The second thing we did was, within Rolls-Royce, they had, for small parts, tended to go to a mechanical solution of storing small parts, which was slow, plus you lost a lot of cubic capacity. We found a company called Storganizer, which essentially is hanging small part racks that go under standard racking. And then that, again, created 25,000 locations, but enabled full cubic use of the footprint. And then the last one was, rather than having very slow moving small parts on shelves or in Storganizer, we put them on pallets in these multi-boxes that then could go up in the air, again, creating more space on ground for prime footprint and pick access. The works were no mean feat as well. So essentially we took that top picture, which was how it was, and then relayed it out with that mobile racking, and you can see the density on the right hand side there, where you have one aisle open at a time. We had to empty an entire chamber into an external warehouse whilst continuing to receive and pick. We then had to completely relay the ground on the floor because, believe it or not, it wouldn't have taken the weight and could have all fallen through, and put additional concrete on the floor. Then implement the mobile racking itself, reconfigure all the processing areas, and then you can finally see that first pallet going in on that bottom picture there. So what did we achieve and through doing both of these things? And this is, I think, the bit that we are most proud of, both ourselves and Rolls-Royce. So through the inbound, we immediately delivered a cost saving of over 13.6 million per year, both through commercial savings as part of the tendering process, but I think more importantly, through actual savings through their shipment and through their supply chain of 8.2 million immediately on reducing their expedite and fast moving shipments. We reduced then therefore their cost per kilogram by over 20%, as you can see there, from £5.42 to £4.21. And through that visibility, management of inventory, as well as logistics spend, a long-term cash benefit of over 19.6 million for Rolls-Royce. So that was just on the inbound solution. Then in the aftermarket, by putting the two into one building, a property saving of over 5 million over the contract term. Plus, if they had to get a new facility, they would have to have exited existing ones at a cost of £9 million, as well as a site setup of £4.5 million, which were both avoided. As we move through and we're now operating out of the one building, we've got an efficiency saving of over 1 million per year, a 40% increase in transactional volume through that facility, with then over a 10% saving in the cost per delivery that's coming out of the warehouse. I have no idea where I am on time, but that's me done.
Spot on.
Am I on time? Am I?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much, Nick.
No problem. Thank you very much, everybody.
So I'll maybe take a moment to say that the votes are somewhat pretty much balanced. So please go and continue voting because everyone still has a chance. The drums are rolling. We're going to go over now to Belgium, not far from me, in Ghent. I'm here in Brussels, to Laurent Colanbin, Business Development Manager at Interface Terminal Ghent. The presentation, The Journey Towards Sustainable Logistics and a Smart Supply Chain, is the title. The common objective is to implement a sustainable logistics solution for the shipper Eastman Chemical to create an integrated supply chain through a digital data sharing platform. Laurent, the digital floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Cynthia. Good afternoon, colleagues, partners, supply chain professionals, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Laurent Colanbin, and I will, on behalf of Eastman Chemical and Stickworkers ITG, present our project, The Journey Towards Sustainable Logistics and a Smart Supply Chain. I hope you all can see my screen at this moment. Then we can begin. The agenda for the brief 15-minute presentation is as follows. We have an introduction of both companies, being the shipper client Eastman Chemical on the one hand, and on the other hand, Interface Terminal Ghent, the logistics service provider and terminal operator. Then we go over to the project itself, talking about the challenges that we were challenged by some problems. Then we have the solutions that we actually obtained or actually implemented, and the results that we obtained. We go from there deeper into the solution, actually into the excellence of the solution, talking about the grade of difficulty, the originality, also the use for the logistics market, and then the actuality. We actually conclude with a call for action to everybody who is present here today. So let's begin with the introduction of Eastman Chemical. Eastman Chemical is a Fortune 500 specialty chemical company. It's a global manufacturer, global leader in chemicals, fiber, and plastics, who makes everyday goods and products that you can see in the film in your windshield, the screen of your e-reader, the coating of your aspirin tablet, and even in the plastics they use for the reusable water bottles that I'm using right now. They have a global team of around about 15,000 people with a revenue of 10 billion last year. Their slogan is the results of insight, which is is applicable on this project that I present today. They also have 2 production sites in Belgium, and calling them the Ghent North site and the Ghent South site. And the volume that is produced at the Eastman Ghent North site, the containerized volume, is the targeted volume for this project. As Eastman is actually celebrating its 100-year anniversary this year, we will show you a short video of their evolution up till now. Okay, so that was our client or shipper, Eastman Chemical. And now we move on to the logistics service provider, the terminal operator, Interface Terminal Ghent, which is actually a joint venture of a much larger group, actually 2 groups, Stukwerkers Group and the transport group Masterbulk. Stukwerkers is a stevedoring company, also based in Ghent in Belgium. It's founded in 1338, so it's one of the it's the oldest company in Belgium, stevedoring company in Belgium, and it's one of the oldest stevedoring companies in Europe, actually. It has multiple terminals in the port area of North Seaport, again based in Ghent, and it has created in 2015 a joint venture, a container terminal, a multimodal terminal of 250,000 square meters, with an infrastructure of 3 rails of 750 meters, around about a kilometer of berth quay for inland vessels and short sea vessels. And it's also well connected to the EU road network. Now, for this project, ITG is the multimodal terminal that will organize all the Eastman Ghent North side export volume through inland shipping. So good to keep that in mind. Next to our national win last year, we were also selected as startup of the year, of which we will show you now, again, a small video of what we have achieved in the 5 years. Okay, so now that I've introduced you to both the client and the shipper, Eastman Chemical, and the interface terminal Ghent as logistics service provider and the terminal operator, I will now briefly map them out on this map. So as you can see, this is the border of the northern of Belgium with the southern part of the Netherlands. The North Sea port is actually a merger port from the port of Ghent, which is in Belgium, the port of Terneuzen, and the port of Flushing, where both companies are actually located in the south. This project will have everything to do with a model shift that we actually implemented. Instead of export goods that are transported via the road, so the red dotted line, they will actually be transported via the interface terminal, via the inland waterways, actually to the port of Antwerp. Again, Port of Antwerp being the largest port in Flanders and the second largest port in Europe. It's a good thing to keep it in mind as we progress to the project. So the project itself and the challenges we faced. For Eastman, the challenge actually that Eastman was faced with was actually that its pre-carriage was actually existing out of unimodal road transportation for its export container volume. Now, I take you back here in 2017 when we started the project. Actually, they were having high fuel costs. There were also road taxations that were implemented at that time, were actually introduced. So Eastman actually needed a more sustainable, also operational and cost-efficient pre-carriage setup. On the other hand, ITG was established in 2015, so in its second year, and they wanted to develop sustainable services. So next to the rail service that they already had, they wanted to establish inland waterway service and also short sea service in due time. And for that, they actually made a market research plan, which pointed out that Eastman could be a potential partner due to its volume. And it's that volume that they actually needed in order to establish services and to actually grow the multimodal container terminal. So no surprise there that there was a partnership between Eastman and Interface in order to launch a project and actually face those challenges. So how did we face those challenges, and which solution actually did we apply? Well, we applied change, and change in 3 different occasions, let's say. Change in the processes through a model shift, going from unimodal to multimodal transportation, going where actually the terminal would serve as a container yard in the story. Then change through the people in terms of a mind shift. And there was a different way of planning, different way of offloading operations, or first mile transportations. So every value chain collaborator had to be informed, and then changed through digitization, which actually supported both the processes and the people in the story. We always kept 2 thoughts in mind. 2 thoughts in mind, that how as a successful partnership could we benefit all stakeholders, because next to the terminal and next to the client, we had over 16 different other stakeholders in the project. And we still, with the other thought was that we needed to keep the value story very much alive. So reducing the CO2 emissions, making the process more efficient, and also getting more insight into the flow itself. I missed the previous one. So again, to model shifts. So what we went from a whole unimodal trucking transportation of Eastman from the production site or the warehouse to the port of Antwerp. We went to model shift again, using a trucking and barging combination towards the deep sea port of Antwerp. That's the solution we applied. Now the results. Again, and we have to mention this digitization as a cornerstone. This is very important because in order to do that model shift and actually make sure that that process changed, we developed an in-house data sharing platform. At the start, it was just an application that would actually register the incoming volumes that we had transported through our terminal. But as we saw the benefit for actually all value chain partners, we actually made it into a data sharing platform that made it possible to actually share data with all value chain partners in that value chain. But more on that in the coming slides. Then we go to the results that we obtained. Now, the most important issue was actually that we had an economic impact. We had a sustainability management plan attached to our project charter. And from there on, we had certain goals, and those goals were actually obtained as we obtained the most important result, the sustainability, of minus 41% of the CO2 emissions that were decreased for that operation. We still are evolving today, as we have and we still need to reach our full potential of minus 70% of the CO2 emissions that could be decreased. Other operational efficiencies that we actually obtained were that more and more shipping lines also, so more and more value chain partners actually joined our cause. We reduced our process waste, mainly on inventory, with about minus 15%. As the volumes were dedicated to the inland waterway transportation, we actually doubled our frequency on the inland waterway transportation mode, making it possible to actually increase our volume that we could transport through that mode. In the following slides, you will see the volume that was actually transported through the inland waterway transportation mode from the beginning of 2018 up till last quarter, let's say. And we are proud to say that 80% of the volume that we were actually targeted is now being shipped through an inland shipping mode to the deep sea port of Antwerp, with a 30% increase on last year's volume. Now we go a bit deeper on the excellence of the solution. Mainly on the grade of difficulty, so why it was so difficult to implement the solution, the originality, again, referring back to the data sharing platform that we created, the use for the logistics markets, so why it was important, again, on national and on EU level, and the actuality, referring to the Industry 4.0 as an enabler for sustainability. We will show, sorry.
It's European.
Okay. Okay.
Je suppose c'est bien. Tu penses quoi, toi, de ça?
The French team, could they mute their microphone, please? Yeah, thank you. Then, okay, we go to the grade of difficulty. So why was it so difficult for us to implement such a model shift and a mind shift, actually? It's because we had a lot of value chain collaborators on this project, 17 to be exact, going from the shipper and the terminal logistics service provider that I already mentioned and introduced, but also we had freight forwarders, we had a road transportation company, we had over a dozen shipping lines, a warehouse partner, and also a barge operator. So again, it was very difficult to get all these people on the same line towards the same goal, again, the goal of sustainability, operational efficiency, and cost efficiency. It took us a lot of time, of course, a lot of trust between all those partners. And again, we needed to hold the quality on a decent level for our client. The originality lies in that we actually made a data sharing platform for all parties. It was actually the cornerstone of our project. Actually, if we really realized it, we had to review all the internal and external processes of our client shipper and actually made sure that we created a platform that was usable for all partners to actually get information out and make sure that the flow was aligned. Again, it started from an automatic gate process, and it evolved towards a data sharing platform. The originality can also be found into the terminal ITG itself, which has the vision to actually include all modalities on its terminal. So next to the good connection with the road and the first and the last mile option, we also had created the inland waterway transportation to the deep sea port. Later on, we increased our frequency on our rail. and actually we started a short sea connection. So all modalities, again, were available on the terminal, and this has also been a tremendous part of our success. Going back or going further on that, the use for the logistics market. The use for the logistics market, you can see Eastman was actually a pioneer. They dedicated their volume towards our project. They took it from the road and actually put it on the inland waterway, which made it possible to actually develop our multimodal services. So first inland waterway transportation, but next to that also rail and then short sea connection. And as we developed, we actually saw that other industry leaders were actually joining the program, the concept itself. ArcelorMittal, Chevron, to name a few. You saw that they actually also dedicated their volume, played with the inland waterway transportation mode, but also put it in on rail or on short sea. Then next to that, that's what was on a national level. As I said, the terminal was expanding its services and multimodal services towards rail, thanks to other partners like Shuttlewise. We had a daily connection. We grew to a daily connection to Italy, thanks to Lineos, who connected the terminal to 12 different destinations all over Europe, and thanks to iMotion Shipping, who actually started a short sea service from the terminal in Ghent to the UK for the Brexit scenario, to anticipate that actually. So the terminal grew on an international level as well, and attracting also international projects, like the project we have done with Volvo, that actually sends his trains, container trains directly from China to the interface terminal to actually load and unload and send them back again. So the use for logistics markets has been tremendous actually, and also part of the success of this project. Then the last point, actuality. We can link it, of course, to the current news. We started in 2017. Then we had the launch in 2018, which was the European Year of Multimodality. And then we have grown ever since. We can link it, as I said, and also as the professor at the start of this event explained, to the Industry 4.0. It is actually, it's taking place, of course, thanks to technology, not always new technology, but the trend is that the data is becoming more and more available. And it's thanks to that actually that technology and digital technology is actually getting more and more obtainable, and actually we've seen involvement of that technology. That was also the case for our project. In addition, thanks to the Industry 4.0 and smart supply chains that go hand in hand with that, we see that this project was also linked to, of course, the sustainable development, the current issue of sustainability. We see it again in Europe with the European Green Deal, but we saw it also last week in our own government, where the Belgian government actually declared a project to support the model shift and also reduce CO2 emissions. So again, we can link it quite well to the actuality. Then I want to conclude my presentation with a call for action to everybody present here today, to say that it's important to think sustainable, to actually implement sustainable elements into your value chain in every opportunity, and from there on collaborate together, think together, use that collaboration again to innovate and continuously innovate. Believe as well, keep on your believe that it is possible. We had some hard times during this project as well, but we saw it through actually. And in the end, we had great results, being among others the national win last year. And it's because we also shared that best practice. So my name is Laurent Colmbeen, and on behalf of Eastman Chemical and Stickworks ITG, I would like to say a heartfelt thank you to everybody here.
Thank you, Laurent. Thank you for your time, and thank you for keeping the time. Last but not least, you were the sixth, so I am encouraging everyone to vote for your best presentation. We are going to take a little break, and this is going to be the opportunity. So we're going to have 2 more minutes of voting time to make sure everyone gets a fair chance to vote for their best presentation. And during this 2 minutes of break, we are going to watch a short presentation from OEM Services. And after the break will be the moment to announce the winner for Best Presentation. Technical team, over to you. Right, I am back on. So, regarding the results. Paolo, are you here with me? Because I cannot
Sorry,
hear
I was
you.
mute. Yes, of course I am.
Ah, you did not abandon me.
No. Never. No one must be left behind.
So, how was your impression of these 6 presentations? So much detail, so much effort.
Very detailed, a lot of effort behind the projects. I was really impressed by the amount of information and numbers, the figures that were provided, very much professional. My feeling is that the quality of projects is increasing, is improving year by year, and I'm quite happy, I'm quite satisfied, yes.
What was nice also was to have on this chat platform, you could feel the real motivation and support from everyone with regards to these presentations. You feel it's a real effort.
That was amazing. That was amazing because in the live event, you can watch sitting in the theater, but actually using a digital platform, you can interact by chatting. And as you said, plenty of people took this opportunity to intervene, to comment, to speak, and to support the project. So actually, we could see that there is a difference in this format, yes. A positive difference, I would say.
Yes. And I mean, having over 600 people registered at this conference, this award ceremony is a real success, and we wouldn't have been able to do this with our physical presence, right?
Indeed.
So I think we are just about to see the results. The technical team is telling me that we will all see it in real time. So this is a real fair event. Nothing has been prepared in advance. It's live on the internet. 6 presentations. So just to go through the schedule we have now, we're going to announce the best presentation. So the voting we have been doing now. And after this, we will go on to the best project. So The winner is, wow, Interlog Group. 54% of the votes, followed by Portugal, 25% of the votes. Lidl, 14%. Stukwerkers Belgium, 2.87%. Lucas, and then Rolls-Royce. Bravo Interlog, hein? Bravo la France.
Merci.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Well done.
Thanks very much.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you.
What is your reaction,
We are
guys? Well done.
Yeah, we're extremely honored to be received such an important award. Best presentation, really granted by the prestigious European Logistics Association. Thank you very much. To all companies involved, Carambar, Simois, Ferrero, Mondelez, FM Logistics, thank you for your trust. We won. Thank you.
It's a nice example of teamwork, huh?
Yeah. Christophe.
Yeah, the team represented in this project relay our sincere gratitude to the European Logistics Association. And this recognition showcases the team effort that allowed the company to achieve the goals of this collaborative project. And we also congratulate all finalists on their project. And again, we share this award with all our project partners. I saw a lot of them connected, but I will not name them because I'm not sure to have seen all of them. But we share this award with you.
Thank you again. Thank you.
Well, congratulations to you and the entire team behind you. The effort invested has been rewarded today. And congratulations to everyone else, because this has been an amazing session. We have learned so much, and thank you for the effort. Paolo, now we're going to go over to you because we have more winners to announce. We have the winner for the best project. Are you back?
That's the core winner of the contest. And I cannot announce anyone because I'm not even aware of who the winner is. So
maybe Roman has something to add.
Maybe he has some secrets to share. Roman, please tell us something.
There is Roman.
Thanks, Paolo.
Hello, Roman.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, there is not longer a secret, but maybe I have to do some introduction before I can mention the winner of the great project. But first of all, I think this year was very special, and we all experienced how important logistics is. Logistics is this bloodstream of our economy, an integral part of our entire everyday life. And without logistics, there is no food supply, no medical hygiene products are delivered, and our lives come to a still stand. I think this year is so specific that we have really to admire logistics more than we do it in a usual year. And after several months of the pandemic, I think two things are at stake. First of all, of course, the recovery of our economy, but secondly, to make our supply chains more resilient. And this is not an easy task. And how much we would like to have a prophylaxis for the virus, no vaccination can improve the resilience of our supply chains. The resilience of logistics is ensured primarily through the competence of the European companies and their employees. And many of them, such companies we have in Europe with logistics excellence. And this is precisely the creativity, the hard work in logistics that we ask today to come in front of the curtain. You could already experience a lot of presentations today for these projects who are made onto the shortlist. And I'm really deeply impressed by the large number, but above all, the quality of the project submissions of this year's Logistics Award. And the jury consists of more than 2,000 very experienced, very senior and recognized logisticians all over Europe. And I'm deeply honored and humbled to chair this distinguished jury that's responsible for the selecting this year's winners from excellence, really excellence projects. We often ask, how the selection process works. This year, altogether, 11 member associations nominated their own winners to the ELA project contest. The projects came from various innovative fields of logistics e-commerce, supply chain excellence, process automation, artificial intelligence, green transport, and the several other areas. But all of them were in common. They were from very, very high quality. And therefore, we took a lot of time and effort to analyze as a jury, to compare and evaluate in different categories. The jury meets like every year, but this year, of course, just virtually, to make an overall assessment. The best 6 projects will be determined and the winner will be appointed. And usually, the jury has a very hard, complex task in evaluation and somehow to compare the different solutions and their possible effects on the future logistic designs. And I can tell you, the final decision of the result this year reached in the longest debate ever. This year, the final difference between the first 3 was only very few points. So you need not be disappointed if you're not announced as the winner today. You're all more than excellent. I would like to take the opportunity to thank all the jury members for their time, commitment, and willingness to take an active part in the selection process. My very special thanks go to Peter Kiss, who in addition to his responsibility of an ELA treasurer, supports this process in this very, very high energy. But now it's high time to ask the winners onto the stage. A continuously fast-growing logistics company usually facing the challenges of a constant growth of demands originating from their contractors, customers, and end users regarding in performance, transparency, speed, and quality. This leads to the need of a permanent optimization of their processes with high transparency, increasing process speed and excellent quality, and of course, all to lower costs. Due to the fast extending e-commerce market, together with the same-day delivery demands of the customers, the winner figured out the need of a very complex automation of all processes. The winner project make use of real-time triggering for an on-time decision-making and necessary modification in the current operations. But at the same moment, and that makes it very excellent, the company is paying attention to the employees, aiming to reduce and harmonize their daily workloads. And it was clear, taking into account the limits of the human brain, the necessary decision and modification needed the common use of artificial intelligence. The project started 2017 and was so-called ended in August 2019 with the 3rd growth phase. But however, the end is only virtual at everything today because the team is already working on the further extension of the solution in new fields of the total supply chain. And with the realized concept, the partners have succeeded in squaring the circle. They managed enormous growth in volume without introducing a full automation of process. And this was out of question due to the dynamics and heterogeneity of the e-commerce businesses. So they kept their flexibility. Instead of the partners created the hybrid solutions with various optimization in all the relevant areas. The figures make it clear that the strategy of this hybrid solution has been a complete success and even exceeded the expectation of the project team. And just a few figures. The use of the pre-calculated picking loops and new picking card types led to an optimization of the card utilization of 106%, more than doubled. The number of order picking cards required decreased. The number of setup times, investment costs, buffer areas have significantly reduced at the same time. And the order number of per items of card rose from 45 to 95 on average per trip. And with the help of heat maps, it was also possible to optimize the walking distance by 25% from 16 to 12 meters per order item. This year, the winning project convinced the jury with its performance, with its quality, and with its sustainability. So please start the film to introduce the this year winning project.
Am I on the air?
You are, Cynthia.
Ah, thank you. Locke says, congratulations with your smile. It did reach the stars. Well done.
Thank you so much.
Ah, there we are. I can hear you.
Yes.
Now is the time to react and give us your feeling of how you feel today. Normally, we should be having Patrick and Klaus joining us for saying a few words.
Yes, I hope Klaus-Peter Amberger is joining the conference because I have seen him a couple of minutes ago, and now it seems he's unlocked. Shall we? Klaus-Peter, can you hear me? So I'm very, very proud, very, very pleased. Thank you so much.
Hello. Hello.
Klaus-Peter.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I don't know if you can see me or if you only can hear me, because the video is blocked. There's a meeting alert for at least, I think, 2 minutes.
I can hear you, but we can't see you.
We can hear you loud and clear. Maybe I will ask the technical team.
Now you can see me, hopefully.
Ah, we can see you. Perfect.
Great.
Hello,
Excellent.
Klaus.
Hello, nice to see you.
Congratulations on winning this award today.
Thank you very much. Also to Mr. Stiffner and to the honorable members of the jury. And for us, it's a great honor and privilege to win the European Logistics Award, especially among all these great ideas. And we are more happy to win the award. So thank you so much. And as you can imagine, the award is for us right now not only a strong ray of light in times of COVID, is an unforgettable moment in our life and a great recognition for the work, for the SMILE team and the willingness to go the extra mile for the last, and Patrick mentioned it before, for more than 18 months, the colleagues on the shop floor, the management, the IT and the operations department. And I want to thank all of them. And for us and for me, it's a great honor to work with them, to work with my sister, Patrick Mense, Marcel Breusch, Lars Gutermuth, Christoph Schmidt, Mirka Steinova, and Heureka and their team, just to mention a few of them. And I also want to thank DM Drogerie for their support, for the positive spirit, and for being open for new ideas.
Well, thank you all for the effort that has been put into presenting this project, and congratulations on the award again on behalf of the entire team.
Thank you, Cynthia. I think, Klaus-Peter, we cannot hear you.
We can see Klaus now, but we cannot hear Klaus.
Yeah.
Klaus, can you see me? No, I don't think so.
No.
Well, little technology bug. These are modern times. We're many people on the platform also. Thank you for all being with us. And so back to Paolo and Roman. Is there any conclusion you would like to add to this best project?
Of course we can, but we cannot start our videos. So that's why I'm just here on the oral note.
Okay, so it's just
okay. No, the host already started the video. Maybe
you can speak. No problem.
I can speak. Oh no, I'm again here. So it was really a hard decision that we had to make in this jury. It was really a long talk, and I can just to say congratulations. You made a very great project. Congratulations to all that contribute to this project. You can be proud of, and please go forward with that.
Thank you. Yeah.
Klaus, if you can still hear us, Roman was congratulating you and was telling Loxes to continue and keep up the good work.
Yes, maybe on behalf of Klaus-Peter Amberger, our CEO, I will take the opportunity. Thank you, Roman, for these words. Thank you to the jury. We are very, very pleased and proud of being honored by this prize. And it was a very competitive field of finalists, very good projects in the whole of the Europe logistics family. So as you mentioned before, it's quite new for us all to have it just on this virtual basis. We would really like to be in Brussels and would have a party with all of you, but Corona is not getting at us doing this nowadays. But by looking into the future, I'm very fortunate that the logistic will survive this heavy and hard times as well. So thank you so much to all of them, and stay safe and healthy. And we will work on all the things that we have in mind to get in progress with this.
Thank you very much. Thank you and congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Cynthia.
Now we are going to have just a quick 2-minute presentation of our sponsor, Hager and Schmidt Logistics, and then we're going to move on rapidly to the roundtable. Didier, in 2 minutes, we are over to you. Thank you, Hager and Schmidt Logistics, for your support. Speaking of logistics, it's time for a roundtable. So, Paolo, we are pleased to host today a topic on the future of air transportation. This roundtable is including speeches from 4 key industry actors: IATA, Lufthansa Cargo, Bolloré Logistics, and Airbus. Our moderator, Didier Granger, is an aerospace supply chain expert. Today, and for more than 10 years, Didier has been the president and CEO of OEM Services, a leading aerospace supply chain maintenance services provider towards airlines and aircraft manufacturers, as well as being board member of the European Logistics Association. Didier has a career dedicated exclusively to the supply chain. He previously held key management positions in operations, catering, and aircraft maintenance for major companies such as Essilor, Air France, and Sabine Technics. Didier, thank you for being here today. I will leave the virtual floor to you so you can introduce your key guest speakers.
Thank you, Cynthia. Do you hear me?
Loud and clear, Didier. The
Okay,
floor is yours. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you. So I see that we are almost on time, so it's rather a success with such an event and so many participation. So thank you, Cynthia, and thank you to our important audience today to participate to this roundtable with very important speakers, where I'm very honored to welcome our speakers and share 1 hour together. Today's topics is the future of air cargo transportation. Before introducing the speakers and asking questions to our guests, I would like to summarize a few elements. This is the year of the COVID-19. The COVID-19 has struck the commercial aviation at a level not seen since World War II. The impact, with heavy consequences, call into question all economic and financial models. Closely linked to commercial aviation and by design connected to road transportation, air cargo transportation suffered multiple collateral damages. This raises a few key questions that our guests will help us providing answers. How to foresee the future of air cargo transportation? Will this sector be impacted by the slow recovery of the passengers traffic? Will the pressure of climate change increase? How will the stakeholders react to this requirement? Will the types of aircraft evolve? Will the integrators confirm their supremacy? Do you see a change in the goods that are transported? Do you see customer requirements changing? And finally, will tomorrow look like yesterday? To answer those questions and others, let me first introduce our first key speaker, Mr. Sebastian Mikos from IATA. Sebastian is the Senior Vice President for Member and External Relation at the International Air Transport Association. IATA's mission is to represent, lead, and serve the airline industry. It represents some 290 airlines, which account for 82% of the global air traffic. Sebastian started his career as a consultant and has occupied key positions in the aviation sector. Group Managing Director and CEO of Kenya Airways from 2017 and to 2019, CEO of eSky Group, the largest Polish online travel agent from 2011 to 2013, and he has been as well twice the CEO of LOT Polish Airlines between 2009 and 2015. Hello, Sebastian.
Hello, Didier. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My first question to help you start your presentation will be global. Sebastian, this year has been incredible, and we have lived many bad experiences in the aviation sector, starting with the Boeing 737 MAX crisis, continuing with the COVID-19 lockdown and the subsequent economic crisis all over the world. These will probably influence the years to come. How do you see the global impacts on the aviation sector for the next coming years?
Oh, it's a broad question, Didier. Thanks very much for asking me. As you may see or not see, we closed our office, and I still didn't find the right spotlight in my house. So I'm trying not to look like a vampire, or at least not to look as bad as the shape of our industry is today. So I don't give you a too much pessimistic impression. Let me be very, unfortunately, very pessimistic. This is a worst year in our history, and it concerns both passengers operation and globally airline operations. Actually, I'm very happy to talk to a cargo association, because actually cargo is doing very well, and it's doing very well for two reasons. First, the traffic has gone down, so the demand for cargo has increased because the supply of the cargo belly has gone down, and we see that cargo is actually keeping many airlines busy and alive. I mean, at least a very small part of what the airlines were doing. Cargo normally was something between 10 to 12% of the revenues. Now it has reached 25%. It's not a healthy situation though, because normally there would be much more flight, and cargo, air cargo would grow, and this is the cargo we are really interested in. Now there are two events that happened just actually yesterday, which I would like to share, because you asked me for the outlook. So our IATA outlook is that the traffic will start recovering next year, our outlook is saying that there is no recovery, it's still survival. This is our official position. But there are two events that happened. One event was yesterday, the International Civil Aviation Organization, which is the body that takes the representations of, it's part of UN, it was created by the Chicago Convention, and this is the regulatory body that represents all the states that signed the Chicago Convention, has adopted a set of new recommendations to reopen markets without quarantines. So basically, of course, each country keeps its own sovereignty, but the idea is to try to find a way to avoid quarantines to restart the passenger traffic, because we have noticed, and we keep underlining this as IATA, is that quarantine equals to a full closure of markets. So if you have a quarantine, passengers are just not flying, so you destroy the demand and there is no predictability. And the second thing, which is actually making me in this pessimistic environment a little optimistic, is the big media announcement from Pfizer, the big lab, that they have reached the vaccine, the level 3 in clinical tests, with a result of 90% of positive antibody findings on the tested groups of people. So I'm not saying that this is actually what's gonna completely heal the whole industry, but at least we see that we are going toward a vaccine. If we're going toward a vaccine, that means that we can be optimistic that 2021 will be a year where things will start moving, but onward, 2022 and onward, we will probably start to see an increase of traffic. So we have these two positive events which are making me, a little more optimistic than the last month, because the last month has been a terrible crisis for the industry, like the historic decrease of traffic. And it's going to be, I hope, the only 2020 such a bad year, and I really hope 2020 will shift from survival to recovery. Thanks, Didier.
It seemed that the cargo capacity suffered pretty much from the reduction of passengers' flights. Can we consider that the air cargo transportation is a collateral damage?
Of course, for me as an airline person, air cargo is integral part of airlines. So I'm belonging to this group of CEOs who, when I was a CEO, that always considered cargo as the same part as ancillary revenues, as one of your core business. Cargo, you transport passengers, you transport their luggage, and you always have in the planes a cargo. When we were using, for example, a Dreamliner, which was having 21 tons of cargo on top of passengers, that was meaning that if you were having a double daily flight, actually that was the equivalent of sending a cargo freighter. So I consider cargo being part of the bread and butter of the industry, of the airline industry. Yes, indeed, cargo suffered, but it suffered in the reverse way. So the demand for air cargo was higher than the supply. This is why prices could go up. After so many years of a decrease of yield of the cargo, now we saw a ramp up. So I believe that when the passenger traffic restart and before the demand, the offering of the passenger planes will reach its peak or its level from pre-COVID, we will see still the prices of cargo stable, because there will be still more and more demand. And last but not least, please remember that air cargo will be essential in the distribution of the vaccine. And we have made, in IATA quite a number of calculations about how many 747s you need to distribute the vaccine. But air cargo is the only way in which we can quickly and massively distribute the vaccine, because of the time and the capacity of quickly distributing it. But secondly, because of the specific needs for transporting this vaccine, which is very low temperatures. Depending on which vaccine we're talking, is -20 or -70 degrees as the whole distribution chain, which is extremely challenging. And I believe that only air operators, forwarders, only people who have an experience in carrying such a delicate goods will be able to properly do it. So I believe that cargo will recover faster than the passenger, but will stay as a very solid part of the business, more solid than it was pre-COVID.
Okay, thank you. I think you send us, your organization sent us a few curves. I don't know if Oana had the time to load the curves to support your speech in the technical department.
I don't know, but there is a presentation that you can share with whoever wants later on, where we show the 3-4 main curves about cargo. Of course, if needed, we can provide more of them. But you know, curves, everybody can see the curves without my comments.
It's a good point. We'll share that on the website that will be dedicated to this event after. A few questions about, you were mentioning the new trend of cargo now within the regular airlines. We see many airlines converting aircraft, and every day there are announcements of converted aircraft into cargo aircraft. Anything about the lack of capacity right now we have in the world?
I mean, for me, it was extremely rational to do it. You have a plane, you have the crew, you have the licenses, you need people to fly. So if there is a need and you can do it technically, it's very good that they did it. And of course, as I mentioned, there is more demand than offering. So if there are goods that you can transport in the passenger part, you could do it. You know, I remember the times where KLM had this combo, the 747, which was half passengers, half cargo. Maybe it's the future. Maybe we should go that direction, because cargo now is going to be much more profitable than carrying business class passengers. So that might be a nice future. But what is the thing I wanted to share with you is that it's extremely badly understood by the public, because we're talking for a lot of people outside of the industry, that it's extremely complicated to convert a passenger plane into a cargo freighter. You know, people have this Lego approach. They think that airplanes are like Lego. You just can remove parts, reassemble, and you have another device. I was having a hard time explaining that it's regulatory very complicated, that it's technically very complicated, and that you cannot convert a plane just like this, because once you converted it, it takes 2 to 3 years and it's not possible to go back. But I think that airlines and cargo operators reacted very well. When we talk to airports, they were always saying, oh, thanks God there is some cargo operators, so at least there are some movements on the tarmac, and you can see that some people are still flying. And this is because, you know, the passenger demand was just destroyed, and while on the opposite, the cargo demand went up. So it's not the good reason for which cargo became more important than it used to be, but it was very rational to do it. And I guess that some of airlines will keep their planes in cargo module, you know, with seats or without seats, because you will have so much capacity of available planes, standard planes, that if you convert that, it will be very rational to keep it, because again, the crew will be available, licenses are available, so you can operate, but you don't have enough demand to justify not to do this type of operation. So I see it as a quite long-term trend, and I would expect that the industry will go that direction.
Okay, so in other words, it's a bit back in the future.
Yes, yeah, and no, it's very surprising, but it shows the resilience of the industry. Everybody adapted very quickly, because at the beginning, you know, we ourselves, IATA, we moved our General Assembly from March to this November, because in our own calculations, the crisis from March would obviously be over in November, and we just turned it into fully virtual. So it shows that everybody had to adapt very quickly. Everybody thought, okay, what do I do to at least keep some of the business flying? And for our industry, it's essential to keep the aircraft in the air, because otherwise you are simply losing licenses. It's an extremely difficult thing to think that if a pilot doesn't fly enough, he's losing the license. You lose the insurance. I mean, you have to do different maintenance on the engines, different maintenance on the plane. So it's really good that that cargo was there to at least keep in the air part of the industry. And I hope air cargo will stay as part of the goods distribution channel at a broader scale than it used to be before COVID. That would be a great thing for all the ecosystem of cargo, you know, from truckers to forwarders to storage guys, and then to the airlines at the end. That would be really great.
Okay, thank you, Sebastian. So talking about airlines, let's move to our next speaker, Mr. Thomas Egenolf. Do we have Thomas online?
Yes, I'm online, but I can't switch on my video. It's blocked.
Say they should open your video from the technical
now we go.
department.
Hey, here you go. Hello.
You are there. So Thomas is the Vice President Europe of Lufthansa Cargo since 2016. He did most of his career within Lufthansa Group, where he started in 1991. And he has there held various positions, such as Managing Director of European countries offices for Lufthansa Cargo in Italy and Malta, as well as UK and Ireland, between 2009 and 2016. Before that, he had several experiences in the business development and sales management, both for the cargo and the passengers activities of Lufthansa. Hello, Thomas.
Hello, can everybody hear me properly?
I think so, I hear you.
Very good. Yeah, it's a great pleasure.
So yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. I will start maybe with one question, one global question, as I asked to Sebastian a few minutes ago. Lufthansa is one of the biggest airlines in the world. The crisis we are going through has changed the situation and probably the rules that drive the commercial aviation business. What major changes do you foresee?
Yeah, as earlier mentioned, the situation is dramatic. I'm, as you have already stated, since many years, actually too many, in the same industry. And I've never seen and heard of figures like that. The last time we were in a similar situation was in 1992, just shortly after I joined. And since then, everything went only up. And now, unfortunately, we are really suffering heavily. So what does it do to the industry? On the passenger side, you have already heard Sebastian talking about what is going to happen possibly. But what we definitely will see is we will see less 4-engine aircraft with a lot of belly capacity. Airlines will look after very efficient 2-engine long-haul aircrafts, which are made of most likely lightweight material. We will later hear Airbus talking about that. And having said that, the cargo capacity available will go down and down over the time. So I think the golden age of having huge bellies to be filled with cargo are over.
So in terms of cargo, the capacity was, as you said, severely impacted by the reduction of passenger flight. How did the sector and maybe Lufthansa manage or plans to manage to continue their operations?
Yeah, I've also brought some slides. If you wish, I can share a few.
Yeah, it's you to share your screen.
Yeah, that's no problem. Yeah, I can do that. Should be working.
Yeah, we have them.
Okay, so some insights, and just a little, let's say, a little framing my words here. We have talked about the situation of the aviation industry already. And this little clip here is showing what happens to Lufthansa. And we wanted to actually have this column here up to 50% of our capacity in the air by Q4. And the estimations are now down to 25%. And I've here brought a slide that shows, no, you jump over that because you asked for the future of the consequences or what the consequences for cargo. What you can see here is this huge lack of belly capacity. And at the same time, the cargo demand, which is still quite nice. It's actually -8% to last year and has recovered from -12 in August. But exactly this yellow field is definitely what we can't cope with in terms of over demand. And it's going to aggravate further once the vaccine business is coming into play and needs to be transported. And you asked about how did we manage to cope with the situation. That is the situation where we have this sharp drop of business in the period of, let's say, March to today, actually. And our reaction was, as a carrier, first of all, we decided to keep our MD-11 in the air. We wanted to actually put them out of service end of June this year, and then on base of what we have just experienced, we just left them in. And just recently, we decided to continue flying our old MD-11s. It's only 3 of them, but it's an 80-ton aircraft until most probably until May 2021. And at the same time, we have our 777 fleet in the air, and we have currently operating 13 777s. And actually, the answer to this chart here is our freighter schedule. We are doing, that's a bit the advertising corner here, but what we do is we really offer a very stable freighter network. And the disruption actually at the beginning was dramatic because our crews could not lay over in China anymore. We had to reroute them to Russia, have them sleep there and shuttle in and out of China. So it was dramatic and it was a huge logistic challenge. But at the end, we made it. And we then also were flexible enough to have PAX aircraft flying out of China with mask and PPE materials. But other than Sebastian, I see it a bit different. The passenger flights for cargo are not very effective because you see here that obviously it can also be an escape valve to deep peak demand. But as a matter of fact, there's nothing more effective for cargo than a freighter.
Okay, so do you think in the future, as Sebastian was mentioning, a kind of disconnection between the passenger flights and the cargo activities?
No, cargo will, in all the network carriers, remain an integral part of the carrier. It's a combined product, a complementary product, and it will stay together. Cargo will, however, have most probably to look after more freighters to be brought in the air compared to the years before, where we could use the big bellies on the long-haul network. It can't be expected that the belly capacity will come to the former levels earlier than 2025.
Any word about the transatlantic capacity that was identified as a bit complicated right now?
Well, the transatlantic, the big trade lane, Europe to the USA, is heavily impacted by the fact that no passengers are accepted from Europe to enter the United States, and on top, let's say customs tariff war of the hopefully to say former president is going to be lifted soon, so we can hopefully back to better terms. But I do foresee then that obviously there will be a huge bottleneck between the two sides of the Atlantic Ocean that is going to come. We have seen major US carriers that have basically entirely left their fleet in operation, which is, I think, a great relief to the logistics industry, so that at least we had really a lifeline between the two continents.
Okay. So any word to add, Thomas, before we go to Mr. Le Gouy?
No, I just would like to really thank you for being able to present here also a few of my slides. And I think it's a joint effort to really cope with the upcoming constraints and lack of capacity. It will be a situation where I would believe nobody in the audience has ever been lived in.
So we have started with the IATA, who gave us a broad overview of the market situation. Then we went to an airline, both passenger and cargo airline, Lufthansa. Let's go now to a customer of the cargo airline, which is the freight forwarder, who's using the belly cargos and the cargo aircraft to transport their shipments. So let's go to Mr. Henri Le Gouy, who is the CEO of Bolloré Logistics Europe. Henri, hello.
Good afternoon, Didier.
Good afternoon. Henri, you started your career at Arthur Andersen in 1991, and then you joined Bolloré Group in 1994. During your 26-year career, you had several financial and strategic positions, including CFO of Bolloré Logistics, and before switching to operations in 2006, and finally being promoted to CEO of Bolloré Logistics Europe in 2015. Since then, you have been responsible for the development of the business activities in Europe, in charge of 20 countries. And Henry, you possess in-depth knowledge of the supply chain management within Bolloré, who is one of the biggest freight forwarder in the world. My first question, Henri, to start your speech, as a freight forwarder, your activities has been suffering from this variation of air cargo capacity and the difficulties of road transportation deliveries. Did you manage to recover rapidly, and how do you see the current situation?
Thank you, Didier. As Thomas just mentioned, it was a never-known situation. I've been in the group since '94, and it is true that such a collapse puts you in a position where you have to react extremely rapidly. The collapse of 60% of the air freight capacity from one day to another, almost, starting March, was a shock for our industry and a shock for our major customers. And as we have to organize and to find solutions for air freight management, we had to find very rapidly some solutions and gradually to switch from a customer from the airline to a flight operator. To find anything that could be put in the air had to be used to find solutions for our customers, especially to find some solutions to import in Q2 medical equipment to fight against COVID, which was priority number one. In that sense, I must say that there are good lessons also to be learned. First, the air freight industry has been extremely resilient for the cargo part, at least, and proved that it was certainly air freight was the ultimate mode to cope with emergencies in the tough situation we met. And I must say that we were somehow put on stage, back on stage, while air freight cargo industry was sometimes considered as a minor part of the air freight industry. It proved that it had to play an essential role for the survival of airlines and airports.
So what innovation do you foresee in your sector? Is there an impact of emerging solutions such as freight forwarding online solutions? And currently, is it a trend or no more a trend, I would say?
No, it is definitely a trend. I think the crisis we went through also clearly showed that we had to work in a paperless industry, because I must say that all our white-collar staff had to work from home, more or less. So we had to work in a totally different environment, in a much more digital way. And in the mid-run, I would say that I see digitization as the essential way to simplify the customer journey, especially to find solutions and capacity at the best price for our customers, and also to save our competency for what is our essential role, finding solutions instead of data crunching. So our operations will find, I think, a much better way to work in a digital environment. It doesn't mean that we will see our people leaving the industry. I see, on the contrary, that it will be an essential way to save our competencies.
Okay, is this lack of capacity gave the historical freight forwarders a kind of advantage compared with the new players?
I don't think it's a question of finding advantage. I think it was more a matter of competencies and the capacity to buy and to secure complete flights, where you had to have the financial resources for that. That was key. You had also to have inside the competencies to manage flights, which is not the case of everyone on the market. And you had to have the competency to make sure the solution you were providing were efficient. And I think in a very tense situation, market situation, where you also had to find the correct price, for your customers, while knowing capacity were extremely expensive, especially in Q2.
Okay. And talking now about integrators, how is the competition evolving with the integrators? How do you see the future of general cargo providers such as you, providing a wide range of solutions compared to these specialized players? Is there a kind of specialization between the different players?
For those who question the future of third-party logistics suppliers, I think the crisis proved our competencies were essential. We use integrators as we use different transport modes, okay? Integrators are the perfect way for small parcels. I think we see ourselves as designers of international supply chain solutions, which sometimes put us in a situation to use sea freight, road freight, train, or air freight, of course. We are not devoted to one single way of transportation. In that sense, I think due to the huge volume they handle, integrators are stuck to a very rigid and strict way of operations, mode of operations, which is not the case. And it's once again, their volumes are growing for sure, but we see ourselves a bright future for organization in designing solutions in such a complex environment where we are going through.
How do you consider now the environmental challenge of the air cargo transportation?
Once again, I would really fully support what Thomas said, that at one stage, especially in Q2, everything that could be put in the air was put in the air, whatever the fuel consumption. But if we consider the mid-range, long-range point of view, definitely out of this crisis, the environmental issue will come as priority number one. And we have to develop the ownership of this issue within the air freight industry, for sure. We have first gradually to change the fleet to come to, I think, more efficient planes. I know it will come time, it will maybe take decades, but we have to show our customers that the air freight industry is making efforts to reduce its carbon footprint. We also have to develop ownership on the standards of this consumption to make sure that it is not unfair to air freight industry, especially when we mix passengers and freight. So I think this is a growing concern for sure. We shall not ignore it, even if we shall keep the air freight capacity, because this is once again the essential mode to manage crisis. And who knows what the crises are ahead of us.
What about the next transportation of vaccine, for instance?
The transportation of vaccine will be surely a headache, but also a big business opportunity, to make it very clear, for next year. I think the capacity is very tense so far, very reduced as long as the passengers' flights will not resume. So the day we will start shipping vaccines all over the world, for sure, it will be a headache to manage in the air freight industry. But we are there to manage also crisis. I think that's where the competencies plays its role. And once again, that's why I'm so confident about the future of our industry.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Henri. Last word, maybe?
No, I think definitely we believe still H1 will remain difficult, especially for the airlines. But I think once the vaccines come, there will be a brighter future for airlines and for air freight industry, also finding again some capacity.
Okay, thank you. So to transport the good, we need aircraft. And among our panel of speakers, we have someone from Airbus, Mr. Oliver van Tronchin, who is the freighter marketing expert at Airbus. Oliver has held several different positions during his 30 years within Airbus. After joining Airbus in 1990, within the customer support division in Hamburg, he worked in the Airbus headquarters in Toulouse and was involved in the project of the launching of the A330-200F in 2001. In 2006, he was transferred to the Airbus Americas office in Washington, D.C., where he became the focal point for freight and cargo activities. In May 2012, he returned to Airbus headquarters in Toulouse to work with the Airbus Freighter business unit, where he was responsible for the freighter product development. Since January this year, he's the senior expert for Airbus in the freighter marketing team. So Oliver, hello, you're there? I see you.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon, Didier. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Oliver. So as a marketing expert, you might have many things to tell us about the evolution of the demand, which in a way accelerating or changed a bit this year. So my first question is global. How does Airbus see the air cargo market? And if there's an interest, is this interest recent?
Absolutely. Well, Airbus has a big interest in the cargo market, as we see it as a growth market. Many of you might know our GMF, our global market forecast, which is a 20-year long-term forecast that we do every year. And it includes the cargo part as we use it to assess the cargo demand and the demand for airplanes in the future over the next 20 years. It's quite a long-term forecast because our products are long-term products, typically with a life cycle of 40 to 50 years. If you look at our GMF, and this is the figures from before the crisis, I don't have the updated figures. They are still being processed, so they might adjust over time. But before the crisis, we were seeing air cargo traffic grow 3.6% per year over the next 20 years. And that is more or less closely correlated to the development of world trade. We were forecasting an increase of the freighter fleet by about 1,000 airplanes. And over the 20 years, we were seeing a demand for about 2,500 freighter airplanes. That's a big market, and there are mainly two players, Boeing and us. And yeah, with this size of market, we didn't want to leave the market particularly to Boeing. So yes, we have an absolute interest in the freight market. I have a little presentation prepared, so
yeah,
I'm going to show one chart.
Presentation.
I'm going to show one chart of it. This one.
It's coming.
So this is basically.
It's there.
You see it?
Yes, we have it.
Okay. So this is Airbus in the freight market today. We have three different platforms. The first one, the 3200 freighter, which I was involved in initially, that was launched in 2007 and entered service successfully in 2010. We then decided to go forward and expand our freighter product line by a passenger to freighter conversion products based around our successful AC30 family and our also successful AC2021 family. In 2012, we formed a joint venture with our partners EFW and ST Aerospace from Singapore to launch the AC30 P2F conversion, which consists of the two models, the -200 and the -300. This was followed in 2015 by the launch of the 320 P2F program, which consists of the 320 and 321. In terms of entry into service, we have managed to successfully enter service 3 of the 4 models we are building with our joint venture partners. The AC30-300 P2F entered service with DHL in 2017, followed 1 year later by the AC30-200 P2F going to Egypt Air as a launch customer. And just recently starting to fly, actually last week, it's the AC21 P2F as the third and youngest member of our expanded freighter product line that enters service with Qantas. There's one to go, the AC20 P2F, which is currently being developed, and that will enter service end of 2021, next year. So this is how we are positioned today in the freight market, a balance between converted airplanes and new production freighters.
So does it fill the gap with the current drop of capacity in belly cargo with the reduction of passenger flights? Is it offering a way to offer flexibility to airlines?
Well, absolutely. The issue is really about timing. The crisis hit out of nowhere, basically, and you know, if you want to buy an airplane, it's more a long-term process. We typically say there's a lead time of up to 2 years when you order today before you get delivered. Even on the passenger to freighter conversion, you need to have the passenger airplane available. While there are plenty of passenger airplanes now coming out of passenger fleets, you need to also have a conversion slot to convert the airplane, which will by itself take between 4 and 6 months. So you're basically looking at an overall lead time from placing an order to receiving your converted freighter airplane of about a year. So this is not addressing the short-term demand that there is in this market because of the reduced belly cargo capacity, and which is basically has resulted in airlines using the passenger airplanes as freighter airplanes, as Thomas and the other participants already commented on. So there's limited effect because we are more mid to long term with our products that we can offer than whereas a crisis requires a short-term answer, like all the transport of the masks and the protective equipment.
There's a new word that came into our industry recently, is the freighters, the conversion from passenger to freighters aircraft. The rationale of an aircraft conversion is not new, but it seemed that these versatile platforms were no longer interesting for many years. Is this interest for flexibility linked only to COVID-19? And moreover, it was reported recently that EASA might have restricted the capacity of flying of these aircrafts in terms of flight hours and other constraints. Do you consider this news as bad news?
Well, good news, bad news is more for Thomas and the airlines to answer. For us, it's more to make the flexibility of using an expensive asset available. Let me clarify one thing first. We hear about our passenger airplane has been converted to freighter or freighter. There's a lot of confusion if you read the press because passenger airplanes being converted to a freighter can mean two things. It can mean a permanent conversion to a freighter, which includes many more changes, as Henry also pointed out. You put a big door in, and you cannot make it back or put it back into passenger operation afterwards. A lot of the conversions we hear being talked about is passenger airplanes where seats are taken out, and now there are plenty of solutions available to make the empty main deck usable for freighter transportation. Airbus has its own SB that we offer that allows to put the pallets in side-by-side position in the main deck behind the business class section, and this is easily reversible when the passenger market picks up again. So we have to clearly distinguish between these freighters, as you call them, and a real passenger to freighter conversion that is permanent.
Okay.
As Thomas mentioned before, the freighters have some limitations. First of all, you have no cargo loading system in them, and you have no big main deck cargo door. So you're transporting whatever cargo goes into the airplane by hand, manually, through the passenger door. It's very labor intensive, and we hear at some airports it can take 20, 30, up to 40 people to load an airplane, a passenger airplane, and it can take, you know, between 4 and 5 hours to do this, depending on how much you're putting in there. So, and this is, from my point of view, really a mean to address an emergency, like we have seen it in this crisis where we had the mask and the PPE equipment to be transported urgently, and there was just no other mean available. At the same time, Lufthansa Cargo and all other freight airlines that have main deck freighters have increased their utilization to the maximum, and we hear on average the world freighter fleet has been seeing an increase of 20% in utilization. Okay, so coming back to freighters, there's another issue which leads EASA and the certification authorities to be very cautious on the length of the operation of these airplanes, or how long they will allow the operation, which is fire safety and security. A passenger airplane without seats has no fire detection equipment on the main deck. Okay, so today a passenger airplane that carries freight on the main deck needs to have some typically cabin attendants going frequently through the main deck with fire extinguishers to manually check if there is a fire developing. A permanently converted passenger to freighter conversion has a detection system. Okay, that can fly unlimited and is certified by EASA. But today, EASA is holding the hand over the passenger airplanes and the type of freight also you can put on these main deck, because there is a real risk of fire developing without being detected. And this is one of the key points why today the use of passenger airplanes with cargo in the passenger cabin is timely limited.
Okay, so I guess the only difference between cargo boxes and passengers is they don't take meal, right?
More or less, yes.
Oliver, any last word before we conclude?
Well, the future is overall is bright. We take a 20-year view on the industry. We definitely want to be part of the cargo industry. And we are happy to serve our customers, the cargo airlines, with more freighter products in the future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Oliver. I would like to thank all our speakers for the quality of the material provided. This is definitely a good source of inspiration for the years to come that you offered us today. Maybe before leaving, I would like to ask the same question to all of you guys. Will tomorrow look like yesterday? Sebastian, you provided a kind of answer in your speech. Sebastian, we don't have Sebastian image. So Thomas.
Yeah, tomorrow will definitely look different than yesterday. We will see different patterns in how passenger airlines will serve the world with their capacity, driven by completely different commercial decision set. We will most probably see more freighters in the air than normally, or than we have today. Today we're operating in the world about 1,000 freighters. But if the world economy will basically go to normal terms again, and if under the assumption the bellies will be smaller and less available, the only way out is to have more freighters in the air.
Thank you. Henri?
Yes, for sure, capacity will remain an issue, an open issue for the next years. I think that will have changed dramatically with the crisis. And to deal with this issue, you will need good professionals, once again, in air freight management, that's for sure. So what will remain as yesterday is the quality of the people you need to do this business.
And Oliver, to conclude.
Well, from our point of view, as I just said, the industry will need more freighter airplanes. We are happy to sell Lufthansa Cargo and the other airlines more of our products. So, yes.
Thank you all. Thank you, guys. It was a very interesting roundtable on my point of view. Thank you for the preparation we did before. It was a real pleasure to go into these subjects with all of you. Thanks. And I give the microphone back to Cynthia for the conclusion, and Paolo.
Thank you, Didier. We can see the nice sunset in the back of your window.
You see the light decline behind me.
It is winter here in Europe. Days are shorter. No, indeed, I think this roundtable was very interesting in terms of the panel and the variety of all the different actors and points of view. As we are living complicated times in the aerospace industry, we have to find solutions indeed to keep on and expect better days soon. Didier, how did you feel about this roundtable?
Well, the whole roundtable as well as the whole preparation of the ELA Awards has been pretty much a challenge, because we went from a physical event to a full online event. But actually, I think it was the year to have a subject about the commercial aviation sector and its cargo activities. So I think it's a good year to talk about these activities, which are sometimes a bit forgotten in the supply chain events.
Yes.
So I'm glad to have these speakers as bringing their testimonies to the supply chain community.
And indeed, OEM services is an actor which is important in the supply chain and in the aviation industry. How have your clients been impacted with the current crisis we are facing?
We're not so much in the cargo activities. We're in the logistics and the maintenance. So we see all our partners, including the OEM, having a big drop in their activities. The volumes are very limited right now in our activities, around 50–60%. So we are still far from recovering. And the long haul flights are really touched by the crisis. I'm not mentioning the A380, which is almost at its sunset, but even let's say the regular long haul flights like 777 or A350 are impacted, of course, by the current flight activities.
Yes.
So we expect next year to be a recovery.
Yes.
As Sebastian said, to come from the current situation to a recovery mode.
Yes. Well, we did have positive announcements about a vaccine finally being found. So we saw in the stock markets how the value of stocks have gone up.
Which is going to be a challenge for the transportation, as Henri mentioned.
Exactly.
But every day it's a challenge.
Yes.
I think our industry did a lot of work this year.
And Paolo, would you like to add a couple of closing words after this interesting afternoon we have all spent together?
Yes, with pleasure, absolutely. First of all, I remember how nice it was to fly on the Airbus A380 from Malpensa to Dubai and return. I really enjoyed it. And I hope I can fly again on the same route as soon as possible to visit friends and to do business there in the Emirates. Secondly, after listening carefully to the roundtable, I really believe that there is a need, if not just an opportunity, for supply chain managers to get closer to the air cargo sectors, because I think that our professional family is not informed enough about the features, the peculiarities, the constraints and opportunities of this sector. So maybe Didier can help us in organizing more webinars in order to provide information and intelligence to the whole community. I think that would be useful for the future.
With pleasure.
Thank you.
I will be supported by the community.
Of course, of course. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. So before we close this 18th edition of the European Logistics Association Awards, I wanted also to thank our media partners. We have not seen them today, but they are here listening to us all in order to give feedback to our community, to those who weren't able to attend, as to what was discussed here today. Also to communicate about the awards that were given to the best presentation and the best project. And also thank our sponsors, OEM Services and Hager and Schmidt Logistics, who also helped us to make this webinar a reality today.
Okay.
So I guess now it's time to say goodbye. Goodbye here from Brussels, from me, Cynthia. It was a pleasure to spend the afternoon with everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye from Italy, everyone. It was a real pleasure spending this time with you. I can anticipate that the event was a big success with 600 people registered and more than 480 attending at the same moment. That was the top number of viewers. I would like also to remind some of the next ELA activities, like the Eurolog. The Eurolog will take place in Slovenia, in Porto Rose, in April 15 and 16. It is not clear yet. We will have to choose according to the circumstances whether it will be a live or a digital event again. Anyway, it will be a good opportunity to stay together again. Thank you very much. Stay safe and stay tuned with us.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao, bonsoir.
Congratulations. Thank you, Paolo.
Thank you, bye.
Au revoir.
Au revoir. And bye-bye, Johan.